Green light, show them what you got.
Massive diving inside there, and they've really condensed. So far, so good. Dare I say it? Yeah, I did. 3 wides across the field. There is a car around at an absolute fucking car park. This is a fucking joke, and this is why I should never commentate OOR.
Safety car has been deployed. If you were wondering. What do you think on that pass? I reckon.
Holy shit! Wow! Oh, that was an intercontinental ballistic missile sent from the United States there.
Be happy.
No.
That was coming through. Watch out. How many layers of signal I used to give before I change lanes? Yeah. Anyway.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Octane Online Racing. We're at Kyalami for round 4 of the ACC Simrigs Sprint Series Season 19. Welcome back. My name's Jaden Rondinella. This is Split Blue, and I am joined tonight by Blake Griffiths. How you doing? That is great. We're out for a wet round this one. Okay, so something cool. We're on for a wet round this one. With a lot of different drivers out on the track tonight. Interesting racing currently for this week over here. Interesting track full of all the greatest species of South Africa. And we will be seeing some interesting testing of the skills tonight. Whoa, okay. In qualifying right now, 8 minutes left of the qualifying. Currently watching Vediga on board with the BMW Coke Zero, heading around the track right now, and that is the first lap set with a 146.9, and we're off to the races. But that was quickly beaten by Breno Alice with a 146.7, and we will see them just get faster and faster. It is really a test for who can handle the wet and who is very consistent tonight. Interesting to see how the Honda is going to do out on the track.
Yeah, we've seen some quick Hondas through the splits, even though it's a bit of an unfavored car. But people are making it work this season. It is quite interesting.
Yeah, and especially with these long form races, which we're doing quite a lot of at the moment, which the Honda, I've heard, does pretty well at the start and then just proceeds to die off. Sounds like a few other cars. And there's Jamie Comboy, Mr. Drifter himself, with his interesting looking Nissan GTR, obviously doing what he can. Currently 2/10 up, getting quite a bit, but losing. See, this track, I don't like how the delta works here. It goes up and goes down on every turn, like no matter what.
Yeah, it's quite wide, so you can go a bit deep, like that person in the background, and it like goes up and then like shoots down really quickly, and you just lose a little bit of hope. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
And look, oh, McNeil heading back to the pits. And here we got Saxon Hayes. Took a break last week, I believe, but he's back in his police Nissan GTR, and it is looking very, very fancy. He looks kind of on for a decent time. Currently, only a little bit off of Jamie Conboy. That is some good pace from Saxon there.
Riding along with Harsh Kumar in the 123 Ferrari, currently just shy of 4 tenths up as he passes around the last corner. Oh, big chunk of time around the last corner. Full half a second up now. Big improvement. Love to see it. Goes P3 for the moment. As you said, we're going to see some improvement as more cars get around the track and water gets displaced from the racing line. So don't put your bets in just yet, ladies and gentlemen. Still a lot of fast times to come. Literally, Reynolds in that Honda is half a second up on his best time already.
And as we know, as the race and as the qualifying goes on as well, the more cars going around the track and everything, the track will get dry, which means faster and faster times, which can make for interesting tire pressures as well, starting off with the races, because you probably want to drop them even further down than you'd think, as they'd be heating up quite a lot throughout. But Vediger up currently 2 tenths on his best time. Decent time around here. I struggled so much with this track. I don't want to talk about it.
No. Let's talk about it. See what happened.
Look. I recommend practicing a track, especially if you've never touched it before. And then especially coming off of that, if you're going straight into a wet version of the track, it's not turn out well if you don't do any sort of practice at all.
Yeah, I do believe practice is a little bit important. Coming in pretty blind is always going to be an extreme uphill battle. It does be like that sometimes, though. Not professionals, not everyone has all the time in the world to do it. So I do understand where you're coming from.
And it looks so much worse coming off the fact I got a 22 last week, which I grinded really, really hard for, and then just put nothing in for this track. So
you spend all your energy at brands, and then you're like, whatever.
And then Nords grabbed my attention.
Yeah, God, get this car off the screen. It's so bad. I'm so sorry, Babby, but it's so bad.
It does not deserve that. But yeah, no, this is going to be an interesting race. I'm really interested to see how we see the difference in car performance in the wet. I know the Mustangs don't have the greatest time in the wet. You see Nathan Monks, who's usually up quite far in the front, currently sitting in 11th with a time that's 1.5 off the Delta, but that's all right. And that was a good lap there by Babby there, so that's all right. Porsche seem like they're going to do well. I imagine the Astons will do well. They're pretty good rain cars. I'm surprised we don't see any McLarens up there currently, but that might just be my vision. This split doesn't seem... does this split have McLarens in it?
Let me find out for you. Yeah, we got a few.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's all right. 3 McLarens. They should do all right here. Look, it's going to be interesting. This is probably a split with the most blue or the most pro cars on the track. I'm not awake today. Let's get this going. Currently watching Ashley Reynolds, who is got the best time with a 145.9. Currently a 10th down on the Delta, but anywhere on this track you can make that time up so quickly, and you can also lose that time just as fast. But we're doing the... I've just looked at the comments on YouTube about spending an hour slapping the livery together at midnight, and yes, it is doing its job. It is burning my eyes. But we're on to JC, who is currently a 10th and a half up, but loses a lot of that time with that slide.
Yeah, I think I'm not actually sure who it is, but they in the other streams they call that soy sauce. Yeah, Reynolds a class of his own right now, only person in the 45s, and improving too. Everyone else is nearly 7 tenths of a second down.
Yeah, no, these drivers are pushing hard. Ashton's got a big lead. I'm surprised. I don't. Is the Honda that good that it can be that far ahead in this kind of weather?
All I've heard, I'm not an expert by any means, but the answer was no. But I mean, some people are just otherworldly, you know. Oh, got a bit of a replay. Oh, getting wide through the S's. It's always a little bit touch and go through there. And I mean, losing it in the middle is not so bad because you're already about halfway through. You're not going to bleed too much speed, but I mean, not the line you want to be taking.
I learned the hard way not to touch the curb there. Almost died several times yesterday there. So
But the inside curve at the S's as you're coming out to the cop.
The outside one before you head towards the hairpin at the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you hit that, it doesn't do me well.
It's okay, but you need to get off it for sure though. There's a bit of a ditch after it and you'll just bounce awfully if you do not clear the way. Ashley Johnston doing exactly the same lap time right now. Talk about consistency. Yeah, ends up dead even.
Yeah, I think that takes a little bit of skill. To be dead even on your inconsistent on your times, but that's a good lap from Vediger right there. That's a 10th up. If he can hold that around these last few corners, he might be able to push himself up a position. With Alice only now a 10th away from Reynolds.
Oh, picking up and losing more. That's literally that corner thing we were talking about where the track is so wide. Looks like you're getting more and then you're not. Still just about a 10th. Breno Ellis actually just popped in only 1/10 behind Reynolds. But as we're going to see Vediger over the line, looks like 0.2 of a second improvement, which is going to put him up into P3. Very nicely done.
Very, very nice. And we are coming into the final laps of qualifying. JC's not going to be able to set another one after this, so these 0.2 need to count if he is not invalidated, which I don't believe that will be right. So we'll see how well he does coming around this final turn, which I struggled with hard because I didn't realize how sharp it is at the end. But that is 0.2 up, meaning does he gain positions?
Maybe it was invalidated, actually.
It was invalidated. That is the first time that's been right. Okay, that's crazy.
I was gonna say usually that thing is glitched out, so I was like, yeah, no, he's on a valid lap, but no, he was not. It looks like we're
a good lap.
Coming through with the last couple of guys. Austin McNeil. Now talk about a livery worth looking at. Austin McNeil's might be best in class, but as we're coming through Clubhouse Bend, coming down to the S's, a little bit of braking, get the nose in. Want to carry as much speed as you can through here. Not taking too much of that inside. Oh no! Oh, I didn't even see it. Did the Delta go down a lot there?
We were in the negatives. I don't know how close McNeil was there. That was not very, very good for McNeil there on especially the final lap of qualifying. But Bobby is currently a 10th up. This last corner can do a lot. Let's see if this will change anything. That's a lot of time lost on that corner, but it could still be an improved time. We're still in the greens. It was not. It was, oh my gosh, 0.005 off of the previous time. And then we're on to Hopkinson, who is just a little slower than their last time. But that is our qualifying, I believe.
Yeah. Shame for McNeil there, but I mean, that's literally just sometimes how the rug is cut, you know?
Well, I think we're on for a great race today then, considering how well that qualifying went. Just the one spin or two. Saxon calling you out right there. But it looked like a decent qualifying. As we do head down the field, looking at all of the liveries on the cars, a great showcase of the different arts and crafts of these cars. I'm going to go with that. It's going well.
Struggling a little bit. No, stop it. Stop it. Bad. I'm spraying you with water. No, we've gone too far past. I was going to do the qualifying list from car liveries, but I've already forgotten who's where, unfortunately.
There is a bunch of people, and they're on the track, ready to go. Oh, here we go.
There we go. All right, so coming in first, Ashlyn Reynolds in a 28 Honda, followed by Breno Ellis in the number 17 Porsche, Josh Vedegaard in 999 BMW, Ashley Johnston in the 55 Aston Martin, Jamie Conboy in his 117 Nissan, Austin McNeil in the 72 Lamborghini, Glory Babby in the 47 Porsche, Harsh Kumar in the 123 Ferrari, Nathan Monks in the 81 Mustang, and Apreciado in the number 11 Aston Martin, rounding out your top 10 tonight.
That is definitely a good top 10, but a few people pushed out that are usually in there from the previous weeks, so we'll see how much they're going to try to push. And as we saw in that video just before we started up, definitely a chance for a car park around this track, especially in the wet. I mean, night's pretty bad, but the wet can be worse, so we'll see how careful people are for the start of this race and throughout. I'm expecting at least 3 spins I'm going to go is the minimum we're going to get tonight. But I'm excited for this one.
Just in T1, I was like, wow, that's not a lot of faith. 3 spins over the race, I think, would be a fair and honestly probably good result. It's tricky. Like, you can be so careful and you still mess it up. And like, some of these corners are just easy to mess up. Like, Cheetah is just, I don't know. Like, in my racing academy, I literally, like, in probably within the first 5 laps, hit that inside curve and went all the way around. Like, it's just so easy to do.
And just before we begin our formation lap, I do want to remind everybody, for those who don't know, Patreons do get a discount over at simrigs.com for all your sim racing needs. Check them out. Yeah, it's great. Sign up for the Patreon if you would like a discount. And Patreon's just good as well. You get a really cool looking name in Discord. It turns purple, which is cool.
It's always about the aesthetics.
Exactly. But
the arts and crafts, if you will.
The arts and crafts, and I think that's important to look at. The arts and crafts of this race, and the cars and everything else. This track, the arts and crafts of this track is beautiful. Not many bison on the field today.
That joke is getting so much mileage. I love it.
We'll keep a lookout for them for Igor. But otherwise, it's going to be good.
I'm excited to see all the bison on Page's car in the next split.
Yeah, that's. I'm hoping to see it part of the animal list. We did not get to see that call by the race control, but I'm guessing it was something funny.
Sorry, Ben. Your jokes are lost in the ether tonight.
That does remind me, Benjamin Hignett for the cameras tonight. Thank you very much for doing the cameras and the race directing and or what the race control stuff, the cool stuff, the broadcasting. We appreciate that.
The arts and crafts.
We're awake today, but look, this track has not served me well, so I'm hoping it does tonight with a great race. If you want to take us away for the start of the race.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're a few corners away, but we'll get there. As the cars are now coming into double file, going to be running over their grid boxes, hopefully, as they head down through T1 that's not T1 in the kink, down to Crowthorne. Not there yet. Oh my god, that Porsche.
The kink is definitely T1. It's very important to be noted.
It's T1 if you struggle like you did.
It's T1 if you're a Silverstone driver.
It's T1 if you're a scrub. Alright, here we go. Down past Inkway, and we're going to get underway with Ashlyn Reynolds leading the pack. Everyone getting over their grid boxes. Getting ready to go as we're going to be initializing the race start. Everyone take a breath. Hold your breath.
Green light. Go.
And away we go. Looking like everyone got a pretty even start there, but Ellis in the Porsche is actually pulling away a little bit from Reynolds, but Reynolds having the inside line should be able to hold that. Yeah, Ellis going a little bit deep, And Reynolds able to maintain P1. Vertigo into P3, and it looks like Jamie Comboy is making a move on Johnson, I believe, as we have Cricky going wide down through the Juxke sweep. God, that's a mouthful, that one. McNeil letting his intentions known there with a bit of an indicator to the right. He says, I'm going to get in front of you, mate. And it looks like he has, actually. But all in all, it looks relatively clean. We've got 2 or 3 cars turn around there. Looks like number 610 and some kind of penalty is... Oh, that was a really, really quick commentator's curse. There's a lot of yellow popping up.
Oh no, what have you done? It looks like the field has had a little bit of a change.
Safety car?
Contact. Is that a...
Are we going slow? This looks kind of slow.
Like they're going slow. We are on a wet track though, so they could just be... Nope, it looks like
no. What's happened? It's nothing looked too bad. It must... I mean, white flags are being waved.
Did we miss it? Was this from the contact at the start?
Must. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Replay. 3, almost 4 wide, 3 wide, coming around, or being the port. Oh, a little bit of contact between the McLaren and the Porsche, and then the McLaren's pushed Crick wide. Oh, okay, yep. And then come back on the track. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's what you call an accordion effect. I knew that. My brain can register that one.
Yeah.
That was not great. I hope I think we'll see a couple cars pinning after the safety car here. But we haven't had a bit of a change in the field. A few of the cars have moved up and around. Some cars still sitting where they started, so some of them took that opportunity a little well. But that was a bit crazy to start off here. Yeah, just look at that.
Yeah, getting on the inside of the curb, and we're at the rodeo, really. And everyone... I mean, I can't blame them, but they're just, like, pushing straight through that McLaren.
There's really like nothing you can do. You can't stop. As soon as it's wet, you just can't stop when that crash happens. They're about to start going again. Ashton Reynolds would be restarting the race, I believe, right now. Taking off, probably trying to find that little gap between him and Brennan Alice, which you'll want to be losing Alice because Alice is very, very quick out here. But so is Reynolds. Vediger's going to also try to keep up with that pack. JC getting right up behind him, just showing him he's there. Alice, it looks like, went a tiny bit wide, but pushing through and keeping that distance. They look like they're racing strong now. It doesn't look like any spins yet coming along. We are now heading up somewhere on the track. I have lost my position, but it's all right because they're coming along fast. Up
to Sunset. Down through Sunset we go. To Clubhouse Bend. And these 3, nice and close still. Reynolds actually already put 1.2 on Ellis. What's going on there?
Didn't know that the Honda was so OP. Why didn't I choose it? Because it's not a good car. Have to answer my own questions because I know the answers.
Someone was saying in chat apparently it's actually quite feisty in a good way in the wet, but yeah, I don't know, a bit of a tricky one. Better options out there.
Murder though, so it's definitely a car you have to fight, and I prefer a car that I get along with.
Yeah, some people like that intense kind of relationship, you know. Other people want it to be a bit breezier.
It looks like Kumar's had a little bit of a spin as well. They're losing quite a few positions there, unless that was just the Delta board being a bit weird. Kumar's just dropped, I think, 4 positions.
Yeah,
so it's not great.
He's definitely down there because he was in the top 10. Oh, Convoy, bit of a bump draft in the corner there for Vediger. It's a little bit, how you doing?
And that is where a lot of problems will come from. A lot of cars can take these corners so differently, especially with how they handle the wet and which cars have actual good traction control. So you'll see some cars go dive bombing through. Here's a replay of Kumar just going a bit wide, touching that curb. Oh, geez, that's a spin. Oh, and wasn't able to keep it off the wall. But that felt like light enough of a tap. Might have gotten away with minimal damage there.
Yeah, I think so. But it's so easy to do. Start braking on that curb and you are going around and around.
Yeah, no, it's never good, especially coming up there. It's such a blind area. You could just do that, and then nobody sees you, and you spun, and it's never great. But a few people making the moves up. You've got Saxon Hayes, who's made it into the top 10 now. Nathan Monks has also moved up a little bit. I believe that is due to the Kumar crash. But I'm looking at some good racing on this grid right now. A lot of tight times. Nobody really pushing out too far ahead of anybody else. Though Reynolds is making that gap. It's getting closer to 2 seconds as we speak. Coming around, Vediger also quite losing a bit of time on Alistair as well. JC keeping it nice and close behind him, and then it's pretty close from then on throughout the top 10.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Reynolds and Ellis have been I've forgotten the word, but these two have been at the top, a bit ahead of everybody else through most of these races, and the leaderboards for the overall series suggests that's correct as well. We currently have Breno Ellis leading the pro class over Ashlyn Reynolds by 1 point. That is a single-digit point, with Vediger behind them by another 16. So, I expect that gap will probably widen unless Vediger can make hay while the sun is not shining.
Yeah, I believe they're only really bad race, I guess you could say. It really wasn't a bad race. They still scored, both of them, 95 points. It was at Zandvoort, which was, I believe, when they had a few incidents out on the track. But most of the other races, they seem to have both been trading for the top 2 positions. Still followed closely behind Vediger and Conboy. Nathan Monk's also keeping a close gap behind them. That's quite a close gap between the top 5, all within 100 of each other. Actually, that's all within 80 of each other. So they are holding on for a tight championship. That is off the track. That is not where you want to be. And coming on, rejoining, that could have been dangerous, but it looks like it has ended quite well. And they are still pushing on.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about through Cheetah. You take that inside curve and you're doing a bit of pogo action. He was lucky to keep it pointing the right way, really.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. Clearly. I didn't finish last, and I will take that with me to the end. And, that is very, very close. Getting a little bit of a sniff there. But pushing on, no contact, it seems, or not enough contact to cause a spin. But we are seeing the Ferrari get a little bit loose coming around that very, very fast corner. The Porsche is going to try taking the outside, which of course leads to a switchback at the entrance of the turn. But now the Porsche is fighting. Oh, there's a bit of contact. Oh, no.
Oh, I was just thinking, Cheeto is such a difficult place to make a move, and that's exactly why. The line is difficult, especially if you're not used to taking the non-optimal line. It's really tricky, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen.
It seems JC's indicator trend is caught on. McNeil's doing it. JC's currently doing it, the right indicator. Looks like they do the opposite way to whatever the track is going, because that's currently what they've got on. They're apparently turning right non-stop, but holding it close again. That was a bit sad to see, just another incident on track, but that's just what happens. You've got close racing, it's wet, the track is sometimes unforgiving. It is also a very wide track, so you expect a lot more space, but coming into these turns, you also need to hit that apex or you lose so much time.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, actually, mentioning that Crocodiles is a very, very wide corner, and there is a few different lines you can kind of go through there. And as you were sort of saying, some of the cars like to take it a little bit differently, but Cheetah narrows quite a lot, so it kind of compounds the issue there.
Very interested, as we see on camera 2 here as well. We're seeing Nathan Monks in the Ford Mustang pushing hard along the track. We're switching, to the main camera now. He is in the Mustang, and from what I understand, the Ford doesn't do too well in wet. I mean, it's not the worst in the world, but it's not great in weather, so I'm interested to see how Nathan Monks does push it around. Tyres as well. With that car, I feel like it's just going to be constantly sliding, so the tyres are going to be probably very dead by the end of this race.
Did you feel that the tyre wear was a big factor in your race, Lupti?
No, I felt like it was completely a skill issue.
Let me rephrase the question then. Did you feel tire degradation there, regardless of the result of your race?
Oh no, it felt actually like the tires were better than I've ever had to deal with, mainly because, like, look, an hour is a decently long time, and I think maybe if it was a little bit longer, the tires would have been fully dead. But by the time that we'd gotten towards the end of the race, the track had dried out quite a bit. It's still a wet track, but it dried out enough that it felt pretty much the same as the start of the race. So
Yeah.
I was just racing very similarly to how I was at start and started gaining more time. And I think that's just mainly due to the track starting to dry out.
Yeah, I think Mustang is known for chewing up those rear tires pretty badly. And we saw last night, forgive me, I do not remember who the driver was, but they were pushing hard onto the back of a Porsche, but they just started falling off towards the end. And I do wonder if the Mustang is a car that you do start to feel it, even in the wet, the tires degrading a bit. So we'll see how it plays out for Nathan Monks throughout this race.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if every car does feel it, but from what I could tell, it just felt, oh, and that was almost a very big dive from Preciado there. But from what I could tell, it felt pretty much just like how it was in the wet, with not much of a difference, which I guess is a little bit of tire fall if you are coming into a dry track, but you do see Nathan Monks taking a bit wide. That looked like a lot of understeer. Yeah, it's the Mustangs as well. Yeah, the amount of power they have coming out into those rear tires, that it's just that they do lose traction so easily, especially in a wet track like this. If you're not hitting your lines perfectly, you're probably going to slide.
Need to be delicate with your footwork on the pedals as well. Got a little battle pack going here. Nathan Monks, Will Capriciato, and Saxon Hayes, all within 1 second of each other, and the latter two only separated by 0.3 of a second. So we'll see how this one plays out, Cotton.
And they're chasing very hard onto the back of Babby as well. Nathan Monks not really that far away, very much still in the sights, but also will be playing defense against Appreciato, giving Babby maybe just a little bit more space. But if we do look down at camera 2, McNeil is right on the back of JC.
Let's go, McNeil. Lamborghini superiority, please, and thank you.
Look, I don't agree, but it does look like a beautiful car. I will always froth over that livery.
Following along with McNeil on the main camera now as we're coming down through Mineshaft into the Crocodiles. Looks like they're taking a pretty similar line here. Convoy just using a little bit more of the track there. You can do it outside in the wet there. It's not too much trouble to ask of the car. Down through Ingwe and across the pit straight we go.
This track seems straighter than I remember yesterday. I swear there was a lot more turns.
Oh, got a bit of a replay here. I am not sure who this is. Oh, you saw this happen last night as well. In the entry into the S's. Oh, we got another one. It looks like everyone else is making it through okay. A difficult place to be parked up there, but through the S's in the entry, you want to brake a little bit to get the nose turned in, but if you do it, I'm not even sure exactly what it is. If it's a bit too late or just like too much, the rear of the car just gets to the corner before the front. Oh my, that's pretty well done. That's tricky. Kind of come over that crest and there's a car parked across the middle of it. That's scary.
That definitely could have been a lot worse. Yeah, did you know that Kyalami means my home in the local Zulu language? Fun fact of the day. Thank you. Thank you for coming out to the Fun Facts with Loopty.
Arts and crafts with Loopty. I think Peach actually mentioned that in his walkthrough on Sunday night, but I'm not 100% sure. That's sweet,
stolen facts.
All right, Ashton Reynolds running away. The top three are actually just all doing their own race right now, about 5 seconds apiece between them and Jamie Conboy in fourth. These three, though. Wait. What?
We missing
Hello?
somebody?
What just happened? Wasn't Vediger in third?
Yeah, Vediger seems to have dropped a few positions very, very quickly to JC and McNeil. Alice also 5 seconds ahead of JC, with Reynolds 6 seconds behind Reynolds.
Oh, here we go.
Versus-
It's Cheetah again. Kissing that sausage curb too much, and I'll do it to you. I was gonna say, Convoy, like, it was literally Vediger 5 seconds ahead of Convoy, and it, like, literally swapped around. Sorry, not 5 seconds to Ellis, apologies.
Yeah, no, that was... I just didn't realize it happened until you mentioned something, and I'm like, wait, someone's missing from the top four. But that makes a little bit of sense. But Alice has received a 10-second penalty there. I'm not sure what that one will be for, because we can't see the things, the caution things, but that's all right. I imagine there was some sort of infraction there, but it looks like the penalties are starting to roll out across the track, which will happen in this wet race. Yeah, you've got a lot of situations where it might not even necessarily be a dive bomb, but just a decent amount of not being able to steer it all, because the understeer in the wet is amazing.
That's a word for it for sure, but yeah, it's interesting to see these penalties coming through now. We're a little bit blind through the first near 20 minutes of this race.
And we're back on to Appreciado, who is still holding very, very close to Nathan Monks. I feel like, yeah, no, that hasn't changed yet. Chris Murphy a little bit behind Saxon Hayes. I'm guessing he's not really liking how the Lambo is handling around here at the moment. Saxon pushing very, very quickly onto the back of Appreciado. Was there someone between Saxon and Appreciado, or am I going insane?
I was just going to say it was Babby, Monks, Appreciado, and Johnston before that were closer together, and now they're not. Oh my, that is very hot, and that BMW had to take some serious evasive action there.
That was an interesting... Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, though. It's one of those, like, I think... Was that on the hairpin at the top there?
Yeah, that was legal.
Yeah. That's the where you go up and you're pretty much blind, but if you come in too fast and you just slam on the brakes in this weather especially, you're just going to go straight forwards. We appreciate it. That's our job. We're here to just non-stop talking. But racing hard around the track right now, pushing very quickly. Where is Johnston? Oh, Johnston's ahead of Babby now, and Monks is behind. Yeah, my brain's not comprehending where everybody's been pushed to. This is taking me away.
I'm trying to figure out who we were watching in that incident. Was it Kung and Pethybridge? And because there was a Porsche, a BMW, and I forget the last one. We're getting away from the cockpit of Murphy, I guess. It's Arts and Craft Nights at Octane Online Racing, that's for sure.
This is going extremely well. We are 41 minutes left of the race. That means we've already done 19 minutes. That's insane. That felt very, very quick. Am I right? 19 minutes already?
Yes.
Whoa. That went so quick. We are looking at some very close racing. That is Curtis versus McLaughlin, which I believe McLaughlin was the Porsche that we saw in that incident, because that looks very similar.
Yeah, it does. They actually managed to navigate Cheetah this time side by side. Difficult to be done, as we've seen. So, good racing. Bentley, having a look down the inside, got some grunt down the straight, especially in comparison to a Porsche, but looks like it's not going to be quite enough this time.
Just a little bit of damage, it seems, on the back of both of those cars, the Bentley and the Porsche, just having a tiny bit of damage, but that can lead to quite a bit of oversteer. Or getting really, really close coming around that turn, which is the second turn of the track, interestingly enough. And then we've got two McLarens. They look awfully similar.
They do too, actually. Is that a livery livery bot error, or I don't recall seeing like two almost team cars, because the front one looks like it's a bit like mishmash, if you get what I mean.
Oh no, the same. They've got a similar team name, so I'm guessing that they are. Oh, that's a little bit of a drift. Yeah, so they've gone for kind of like a almost opposite. Yeah, I think that's a team right there. Currently battling it out in Woodlands. That's Steve Lewis racing out there hard in the two McLarens. Yeah, good team racing. Hopefully they don't hit each other and then start hating on each other, because that seems to be common.
How many people are you seeing that are racing in teams in tandem that are hitting each other in OOR? Or do you mean in general, in real life?
Just in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, McNeil not letting Convoy get away as we're seeing this battle for P3 coming down through Sunset and then into Clubhouse. I got someone in chat saying that they are my teammates, so it's a trio of them. Why aren't you racing then, Craig? Coming through the S's up to Lukop. This is a place you can get a move done, but it's also pretty easy to defend. You park that car right on the inside there. If you could force the issue and come in side by side, can be done, but it's tricky stuff. Have Mark Bushnell on the defense from Harsh Kumar and the 1-2-3 Ferrari as we are coming again through Lukop, but nothing to be said just yet about these two.
And also, it looks like Kumar's done a bit of a recovery, going from 15th back up to 12th currently, and catching up very quickly to Bushell in the Mercedes. I don't know how well the Mercedes handles the wet, but you are seeing that Ferrari just be able to take a bit of a tighter line and gain a bit more time right there on the back of the Mercedes. Just a lot of power also in that car. Look, you don't see many Mercedes driving around, and I don't know why. They seem to be actually decent cars.
It's interesting because you watch GT racing in real life. There's quite a lot of Mercedes out there, but yeah, in Assetto Corsa, it's not quite. It is a bit of an awkward-looking car in turn. Like it, this might be controversial, but like it doesn't look fast to me. Like it looks like more of a boat than even like the Bentley to me. Like it's like a big flat platform. But I mean, plenty of people have done a lot of winning in these cars, so I'm not going to knock it too much. But
I never realized how long the front end was on the car. Like that is very, very long. That's
like the cabin of the car is so far back.
It looks like it's in the rear of the car almost.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be interesting to drive in that. Yeah. I've never driven one. They've just looked interesting to drive. So, but you are seeing Kumar right on the back now, obviously gaining that time quickly. We're going to see if Kumar does try to make a pass through any of these turns as we do head up through the S's, up to the corner that I cannot pronounce. How do you pronounce that one?
Lukop.
Lukop?
I don't know if I'm saying it right though. South African accents are really interesting. It's one I can never place it personally until yeah, it's just bizarre. I'm gonna leave that alone. But McNeil half a second onto Convoy, and it looks a little bit closer than that now. I'll see as they pass through the timing line. Yeah, 4/10 now.
I believe JC did gain a little bit of time onto Alice there as well, so I do want to see if JC can make up that time. Maybe even keep within that 10 seconds throughout the rest of this race to possibly take a second, unless Asham Reynolds does have maybe a little bit of a spin, or JC does pick up the speed. Maybe he'll be able to catch Reynolds.
I mean, I think track is not an easy one to pass on. Keeping the pressure on and trying to force an error from the driver in front of you is probably one of the best ways to make it happen. But these guys at the top, they're not going to get shaken like that too easy. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if McNeil could be on the wing of Convoy all night and nothing happens in terms of mistakes. Going split cam now. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think we're we have two good tracks for this, so it'll be all good.
I know we have this next week.
Imola, but the next week's Nords is technically next week on the weekend. So we do have the Nords 12-hour coming up. Qualifying is about to end this weekend. So everyone's going to finish off times as we do head to the final week for Nords. I'll be doing a lot of hours for that before I even worry about Bella, which I'll be in, I believe, got a 2-week break. So it's me.
Yeah, I heard that everything comes to travel through for multiplier.
I hope so. I'll win all 100 something corners on the track.
It's like an 8:20 highlights, isn't it? That was like 4 hours to do a walkthrough.
That's my current best. That's 5:20 on Nords. That was better for struggle.
I've never tried it. I literally, I don't know. It's a lot.
It's a bit fearing, but we are looking at the inside of Saxon Hayes on camera too. I believe that's Saxon Hayes fighting Apreciado, and then we're also watching the JC and Austin McNeil battle up here for 3rd and 4th.
I'll say big shout out to my man Cam Thistlewaite. Unfortunately, can't be racing tonight. Had a bit of terminal damage, I believe, with his pedals on the setup. Sad, very sad. We missed you out there, brother.
Yeah, look, it's always a bit of a horrible time when you have mechanical failures or equipment failures in this case. But Olshong, hopefully you get some new stuff soon. You were picking up your pace from what I could see throughout the season, so maybe it should be all good when you can get it all sorted.
Also missing that absolutely beautiful Bentley that he was rocking with the Scale Electrics livery. It was so good.
Yeah, 100%. Gonna miss it for the last few races.
Looks like Convoy's pulling away ever so slightly from McNeil, but this is probably going to go back and forth as we see these cars battle through the track. Cars are better in some corners than others versus each other, especially. Again, this looks like probably less than half a second as we on board with Chris Murphy, I believe. Once again, the S's. Oh, that's not great. The S is claiming another victim there with that turn-in issue I was talking about. But yeah, probably a bit of front-end damage on that car.
Sorry, I'm also looking, and it looks like Nathan Monks has done a little disappearing act back there somewhere as well. So that's Chris Murphy, someone who was also somewhat in that battle. Nathan Monks is, I'm believing, having had a little bit of a spin. So our top 10 has been shaken up quite a bit just due to spinning at this point.
I mean, as I said, a lot of the positional changes are going to be coming from issues. Sorry, mistakes. These two, with their indicators, just running around. It's a little bit funny to watch.
Yeah, and wow, look at the time that's changed up there. Vediger, I think, has had a few more little, maybe a little bit more spinning moments here. But looking at Nathan Monk's replay, oh, he's gone. That
See you later.
looks like an internet issue. Okay, well, that is very unlucky. Nathan Monks was having a good race there. Bit sad to see him just pop.
Yeah, I think he might be gone. That's a shame. I mean, he was on for a pretty good race there. Happens sometimes, though.
But yeah, no, it looks like the timing's also changed up. Vediger's moved 5 seconds behind McNeil now. That's lost a bit of time. I believe Vediger was closer than that coming back in. So JC and McNeil holding a very good race here. JC 7 seconds behind Alice. So it does look like he's actually catching Alice there. And Reynolds still making time on Alice as well. Am I reading these times correctly? I believe I am. And then Johnston now 1 second behind Vediger. Babby 1.5 behind Johnston. So there's a little bit of a gap being made up. Saxon and Apreciado being probably the closest among all of the top 10, with Kumar being right behind Bushel, just outside of the top 10, and JC and McNeil racing hard at the front there in for third and fourth at the moment.
I feel like we need to mention that Breno Ellis has a 10-second penalty. So if he doesn't maintain that 11-second gap, he is going to lose P2.
Yeah, no, that's Alice would probably be wanting to push as hard as he can. That Porsche as well. I don't know how well it handles the rain. I know it can be oversteery at the best of times. So, I think it's a good rain car.
I mean, through the other splits, I feel like we were seeing people driving good races in Porsches. Like, it wasn't especially looking garbage. So, should be able to hold on. Breno Ellis, very talented driver, but I mean, as I said, it's so easy to make a mistake here, especially in the wet. Riding along the wing of Mark Bushell with the 1-2-3 Ferrari. Oh, ever so close to Bushell in that AMG, and he's piling the pressure on here as we're coming down through Mineshaft, flat out corner. Needs to be flat if you want to be competitive here. In through the Crocodiles, they're in tow together, but the move is yet to come from Harsh Kumar.
Yep, and look, he's definitely showing himself being there. He's been right on the back. He's gonna. Oh, is he gonna make a move? Oh no! There's a bit of contact. That is no. After such a long, good battle, that is not how you want that to end. Interested to see the results of that one when the stewards do have a look.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I feel like these things like exit my memory like as soon as they happen, so I'm hesitant to comment on them too much. But like Kumar was making up a lot of speed there, but I'm just not sure if he was side by side to the corner. But I don't know if they're actually at the corner yet. But it looks like Kumar probably sustained a fair bit of damage because he came into heavy contact with that inside wall at Ingwe.
And that's given Jeffcoat the opportunity to catch up to Bushell, who's there. Here's a replay of it. Oh, I just don't know. I don't know if Kumar maybe turned to the right a bit, or if Bushell was coming to the left. I genuinely can't tell there.
Yeah. I mean, it's Bushell kind of was on that inside line defending, and I think Kumar was like trying to force the issue. It actually looks like Bushell probably suffered the worst of that. That hood was all the way up. If you get into my head, I think Kumar's getting a penalty there, but I'm on the comms team. I'm not on the stewards team.
Yeah, exactly. I'm keeping my name out of it. That was certainly interesting. So we'll move on from that incident and wait to see what the penalty, if any penalties do come out, whether they're going to rule that a racing incident maybe, or however that's going to go. But Bushell's lost his position to Jeffcoat. We do have our current lead. This is interesting. All the pros are up at the top in the top 5, with Reynolds leading the pros. You've got Johnston leading the silvers at the moment within that Aston Martin that he's got. I do love the livery of Reynolds, by the way. And the Pro-Ams are currently being led by Apreciado, who's in 8th. That's a great position to be in. Just look at that Aston. Oh, I love an Aston. So that's 2 Astons leading two different classes there, and then the AMs are currently being led by Kung in the Porsche.
Yeah,
who's
Tim
in
Kung.
15th.
Tim Kung, sorry, in that 77 Porsche. Yeah, quite a bit ahead of his peers in the Pro-Am class. So hats off to him. Also, McLaughlin has amassed 30 seconds of penalties. I do believe that was one of the people we saw in one of the incidents at Lucop, but that's a hefty whack.
That's a big one. I'm guessing. Unless that's come from maybe 2 penalties?
Yes, sorry. I do think it's 2 penalties. And I also want to clarify, I do not... Oh, I'm in the soy sauce! Oh my god! Oh, McNeil, through you go. See you later, JV Convoy. And that's what I mean, that pressure paid off. JV Convoy getting like sideways both ways down through the crocodiles there. But yeah, so I wanted to clarify, not a dig at the stewards at all. It's just like a very, very large amount of penalties to have amassed in a race. And here we
Kumar
go.
didn't have a penalty before, did he?
No, Kumar, that's what I was saying. Convoy entering that corner sideways. Yeah, so Kumar picking up a 15-second penalty for that incident with Bushel we saw down at Ingwe a couple of laps ago.
Very quick decision, so I'm going to guess that it's pretty decisive from a different angle than what we saw. So definitely an incident that you don't want to happen, but I don't know how Bushel's going to go with the rest of this race. Almost very, very quickly being caught up by the Ferrari Vediga, though not the BMW one. Oh, McNeil getting sideways. Wait, JC's taking the position back. I'm very confused.
Yeah, I was about to say, what is happening? JB Convoy is side by side with McNeil, and then they both went a bit sideways through sunset. And Convoy says, I hope you liked your time in P3, McNeil, because that's all you're getting. Oh, a little bit wide. Here we go. Looking down the inside, coming up to T2 allegedly, or McNeil taking a really, really wide line, but JC parking it on the inside, just using that track position to his advantage. Yeah, nice move from Convoy.
McNeil really did try to play defense there, and JC just said, no, I'm going to hold this inside line full on. This has definitely turned into a drift competition between the Lamborghini and this, and I didn't think I'd say a Lamborghini in a drift competition here, but we are looking at a replay, another one. I believe this is where this is where McNeil overtook JC, and yep, JC just a little switchback after McNeil obviously dives through onto that hairpin there. Meaning McNeil just slid off to the other side. It's definitely not going to work if you're doing that.
Yeah, I think that was never going to happen. And I actually think McNeil is a bit lucky that Convoy was aware of what was going on, because that could have ended up a little bit ugly. So just letting him blow by and making the corner normally.
And that just shows you don't need mirrors, because surprising fact, JC doesn't use mirrors.
What do you mean he doesn't use mirrors? What does that mean?
He's got the mirrors turned off.
What? So he doesn't have like literally just no mirrors?
Just no mirrors. To be fair, I follow the same strat. You don't need mirrors.
What do you mean you don't need mirrors?
They just add extra pressure. All you need is your little thing that tells you where cars are when they're on your left or whatever, and you're fine.
But they don't tell you behind though.
Oh yeah, we should probably actually keep up with what's going on with the race. Yes, so they have lost time from Renault Alice due to their little drift session. They're now 11 seconds behind Alice, meaning that Alice is going to currently keep second place. But JC, if he starts to drive good again, should be able to pick up that time and possibly take back that second.
Actually, no, it's interesting you say that though. 11 seconds is... there we go. I think that's up to about 15 or 16. It's a little bit small for my eyes. Because 11 seconds is what it was before these two started really duking it out. It looks like Johnson's actually now caught up to the back of Vediga, though. Only 0.3 of a second. So we're going to upset the hierarchy of drivers with a silver driver having a good look at Vediga. I feel like Vediga's fallen off a little bit here. I don't know if there's a bit of damage or he's just not quite feeling comfortable at Kyalami.
Well, spin won't do well for your tyres, especially spinning onto grass, spinning on the track, anything. Any way you're destroying your tyres there. And another thing to look at is the Aston is extremely good in the wet. So if you add those two things together, a car that's already spun and wanting to be a bit more... Oh, that was a little bit dangerous. It looks like that was very, very close to an incident. Still somewhat racing hard through there. Or Vediga coming up. Oh, and they've collided. No. And he's held the accelerator. Oh.
That was a interesting move that panned out for Babby in terms of Vediga just deciding to throw it all the way around there. Wow. That's a shame. It is so tricky in the wet to be side by side through some of these corners. Here we are having another look. So Johnston moves to the inside. Sorry, is that Johnston or Johnston?
Johnston.
Johnston. Yeah. Johnston moves to the inside, gets ahead, and then through Barbie. Yeah.
And then it's just, I think right there is where Vedega's going to get a lot of issues from right there. Holding your accelerator after an incident is a no-go. You should be holding your brakes, and especially with cars coming up, that could have ended a lot worse. And it's not about the outcome, it's about the actions done. I hope that there isn't a penalty there, because obviously nobody ended up getting well, there might be a penalty for the original collision, but for the actual continuation of acceleration, I hope there's nothing from that, because nobody really got damaged from that, but I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, Vedega's dropped. Oh, no. There's 2 Vedegas in this race. This gets me like every time. Vedega has dropped down to P8 in the 999 BMW. There is another Vedega in the 175 Ferrari, currently in 14th, actually just overtook Bushel. Not sure if Bushel came in for repairs after that one. If he's running in 15th, he's probably just soldiering on. Oh, this car.
Disgusting.
Babby, though, profiting off the mistake there from Vedega, and now into P6 and having a good look at Johnston.
Just a long, hard look at Preciado. Not too far behind either. We have lost... Who have we lost there? Again, somebody else was there.
I mean, Monk's disconnected a little while ago.
Saxon Hayes was close to Preciado, wasn't he?
Yes, I think Vedega's after that spin is slotted in between them.
Still a bit of time lost from Saxon Hayes. I wonder if that's come from slowing down for the incident, but that's yeah, it's just a little bit of time.
So Vedega with a 10-second penalty for that one.
Heater is damaged and should stay that way.
It's
it's on the screen.
On the theme of arts and crafts, oh my god. I feel like this car embodies like the spirit of literally fine art, where it elicits such a reaction out of everyone that sees it. And it's not necessarily good, but it really says something, which is interesting. Thank you for getting us off that car.
Look, I can't say I hate it, but like I just don't like looking at it.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a level of respect there, but it is a bit awful.
With all the spins though, T-Cog has made his way all the way up to 12th. The AM driver pushing hard. That's our first place AM driver there. All the way up to 12th, and currently pushing it hard with Mike Crick just slightly behind. And not too much of a gap between him and Jeffco. Only 10 seconds. That's about as close as JC is to Alice. JC actually has lost a bit more time now, 13 seconds behind Alice. I'm guessing this battle with McNeil, who has also opened up the gap just a little bit, almost a second between them, but it does look like it's closing again. They're keeping it strong, the race as well. Babby sitting right on the back of Johnston in the middle of the top 10. Saxon Hayes catching Vedega, who is also catching Apreciado. So that's going to be a nice three-way battle between the 7, 8, and 9 of the top 10. And it's looking like maybe a battle down in 19 and 18th between Jensen and Petherbridge as well, with only a 0.4 between them. That is a Mustang versus BMW, so it's a battle of really traction around this track with that Mustang. We did see Jensen last week, I believe it was, doing quite well within that AM car as well. So obviously looking at the livery, that is a damaged front end, I believe, on that Mustang as well. So holding pretty good times. Is that damaged?
Yeah, that's definitely damaged.
Didn't want to be wrong there, but yeah, so definitely pushing in for decent times there and slotting in quite well for a nice battle against Petherbridge here, who is a silver driver, so that'll be a bit of a fun battle for the AM class. Yeah, looking like it's a decent split across the field, not too much of craziness going on.
Do you think we're seeing Convoy fluctuating a little bit because they were as low as about 10 seconds to Ellis, and then they had their Tokyo drifting moment, and they went all the way up to about 16th. And it's about 15th, so yeah, it's really going up and down there. These two are inseparable though. Convoy and McNeil. It's like a buddy cop film or something, or all cowboys or something. Convoy and McNeil.
Yeah, JC is definitely losing time to Alice pretty consistently, but I do believe this does come as well from the defending of McNeil and the tyre degradation and just everything involved within this race. And as the track does get drier, I wonder if they've set the pressures right to be set up for as the track gets drier. As we talked about a bit earlier, that you kind of need to do it for an hour-long race.
Here we are, along with that Mustang. Was that Petherbridge or the person before? Oh, BMW. Very, very wide.
And that means Jensen's moved up a position. So that is a win in Jensen's book, I'd say. So that's up to 18th for that Ford, which is a very nice livery on it, by the way. Yeah, the grid's looking kind of starting to split apart again. Just almost a second between every car on that track. A nice little battle between now Petherbridge, Jensen, Hopkinson also caught up quite quickly, and Perkins right behind Hopkinson as well. So that will be a good battle in the top 20 there, just outside the top 20, sorry. Meaning they'll probably be battling to make it into the top 20, which would be good for some points.
Yeah, I'm going to amend something I said. I think I was reading some of the timing boards wrong when you were saying they were losing time to Ellis. I think I had the wrong number. That's why I was like, oh, it's kind of coming back in and down. So, my apologies. As these two, Petherbridge and Hopkinson, side by side, coming to cheaters, really tricky. And yeah, all right, we're all good. Everyone take a breath. It looked like for a second we were about to go T-bone that Ferrari of Perkins, but it looks like it's all okay.
Yeah, so it looks like Petherbridge has hopped back quite a little bit now at the back of that little four-way battle there, up in the 20 and 21. So Petherbridge will also be looking to make some moves to gain some positions again, hopefully gain those spots that he lost. Followed closely. Who is that? Porsche? Is that?
That's Brenner Ellis, isn't it?
I didn't realize we were up to... Yeah, we are. We're up to blue flagging. Here's some flashing from Brenner Ellis, just trying to let him know that he's there. And the Ferrari is going to take the opportunity to make the pass on Petherbridge during that, but gets a bit slidey through the turn all the way off the track. Is he going to keep it off the wall? He is. Very well done from Perkins. Sorry, from them. That is very well done from Perkins there to keep it off of the wall. Good battle between the two. Yeah, no, this is making up for some interesting racing towards the last 12 minutes of the race.
Was there contact there, or did Perkins just lose the end a bit?
I believe just lost the end a little bit. I might be wrong. I didn't 100% see. I just saw the sliding. I was kind of busy watching Alice trying to make his way through.
Yeah, we might see on a replay. Might not. Let's see what happens. Oh, here we go. So there, through goes Ellis. I can't tell from that camera.
It doesn't look like contact, because you'd think that you'd see the car of Petherbridge be turned a slight bit just from contact, but I'm not sure. Oh no, McNeil seems to be having a little bit of internet trouble. That was a worrisome.
Not what you want.
I have to agree with Kamaris in the chat there. I believe I said that right. Yeah, I don't believe Kung should be in AM. That is a very, very good pace, especially from an AM driver. Up in the 12th position, that at least is a Pro-Am spot, I'd say.
But this is Just talking in general, no disrespect to Tim Kong at all. Some people just thrive in the wet though, like they're just so much better than their peers at it. No idea how Tim Kong's doing in this season, but it could be something to look at. Don't want to rush people up too early. But yeah, really, really great race from Tim Kong though. Really head and shoulders above his peers down the AM class.
To be fair, at the moment, our top 3 for the AM class within Split Blue are Zach Jensen, who's currently in 18th position in the Ford Mustang on the track. In the actual, well, I'll say it for the actual standings. So in the AM class, Zach Jensen, who is first for AM, followed by David Marsh, and then Tim Kung. So Kung is currently third within the AM class, which is 30th overall within the whole split among 43 different cars. So not really a bad spot to be in. I don't know if... Yeah, so this is... So far, it seems like one of his best rounds. Which, yeah, as you said, some people do thrive in the wet, which you can definitely see right here with his current racing ability. He seems to do extremely, extremely well in the wet.
Yeah, I mean that position though, he's right in the thick of the pro-am, so I don't think it's unjustified to say promote Tim Kung. A little bit of a battle pack here for Tim Kung though. Actually, he's got Mike Crick and the other Vedega, Ashley Vedega. Sorry, I had to look across my screens. Ashley Vedega, right on the backside of them both. The pressure is now on. So Tim Kung, show us what you got.
Show us indeed, because this is definitely a time to shine out here on the screen of Split Blue with 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Crick getting very, very close to certain understeer and maybe even oversteer there. But pushing hard, as you can see, just trying to maybe take a position before they get to... Is that Cheetah there? Am I correct? Yes, for once got a corner name right. As we on to the last turn, which I'm not going to try to pronounce because I am not good with names. And we'll continue on. The Ferrari, though, of, yeah, as you said, Ashley Vinegar, just sitting just a little bit behind. Close enough that there could be a bit of a three-way battle here.
Yeah, it looks like Gaps just blew out ever so slightly, particularly to Vedega, but the pressure's still on. But yeah, we are in the final act of this race. Less than 8 minutes to go. Where's the time gone?
Where how's the time gone? That went very quickly.
Cricky, a bit wide there on camera too, but not much to be done there.
Still in the same position, which is good. McNeil obviously still right behind JC. These two have had a good long battle across the whole race. JC, I'm interested to see how close he is to Alice. Oh, and here is Cricky versus Vedega, side by side currently. It's very close. Vedega getting the inside line there. It looks like Crick has just braked a bit early there to possibly just save the dangers of that turn, which was through the S's. As we head around the hairpin at the well, on the bottom of the track map, but definitely the north side of the track. Yeah, look at...
Say the name, Lipsy.
I'm not saying the name. No, I refuse. I refuse.
Yeah, nice move by Ashley Vedega, getting around Mike Crick, making it happen through the S's. It's a interesting one, forcing him on that wide line there. I think we've seen a lot of turmoil coming down through. So Crick doing well not to get entering with the rear of the car first, I think.
Yep, so 16 seconds to Alice, which means JC is, well, 6 seconds out of the 10-second range, meaning that it is likely, unless Alice does have a little bit of an incident, or unless JC manages to gain 6 seconds within the last 6 minutes. That's a second per lap. It looks like Alice might be able to hold on to that second place. But it now does depend whether McNeil does go for another pass on JC as well.
Surely McNeil has a windscreen wiper. That view just showed. It's not on though. What's happening? Is that real?
He's using hood cam. That is disgusting, and I'm very disappointed.
I am a little bit disappointed too. McNeil, you are my hero in that beautiful Lamborghini, but bonnet cam...
Respect. Okay. So it might be on. Okay.
Okay.
Might have been because of the DC. That does make a little bit of sense. Hopefully. I really hope that he's not a bonnet cam.
I take my slander back.
I think more investigation needs to be done before we slander McNeil here.
No, please, everyone get out the pitchforks and torches. You come here, I'll light them for you.
I've done my investigation. He is using wipers. We are all good. He is very safe. He is not on bonnet cam.
Did you check out his stream or something?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, nice.
He's in the clear this time.
Safe. You live another day at Austin McNeil.
But back into it. Only 4/10 behind. Vediger's got a 10-second penalty, which will mean that maybe a couple spots will be lost. Possibly. I'm not saying it. Oh, no, it doesn't look like it. Might be able to manage to stay in the top 10 as well. So that is all right for Vediger. Probably not going to be happy with a 10-second penalty anyway, having started third, I believe. So he'll be wanting to improve for next week. But what can you do? It's a rainy track.
Yeah, Vediger, that's going to drop him a fair bit out of this this fight for the class and, I mean, overall championship standings. Yeah, it does look like he's probably going to end up P9 ahead of Kumar, with Kumar himself with a 15-second penalty. So, and then Jeff Coate is 11 seconds behind Kumar. So it should be top 10, within the top 10 for sure.
Yeah, the last 3 minutes of the race, well, 3 minutes and a half of the race, meaning that I'm going to guess 2 more laps, is my guess. Depending where the leader is on the field, which is up at the hairpin that I shall not try to pronounce.
I never like guessing how many laps there are left. I think it could be 3. I don't know why I even guessed. I literally said I don't like guessing. Do you think Jamie Conboy is sick of seeing this Lamborghini on his wing?
I don't. I think JC is really enjoying the race and having to defend, if he is defending.
I do think JC is someone that likes a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, look, I don't know who... I don't think I know a person who doesn't like having just a little bit of a challenge, as they are getting McNeil going really, really fast. Is that... Oh, JC getting loose! There's a tiny bit of contact, but it doesn't seem like enough to cause any issue.
I think
JC...
McNeil saved him just then, because JC was going to go all the way around, but because he tapped McNeil, he didn't end up going all the way. Or no, McNeil, too fast through... too fast through mineshaft. Oh, no. Wowee.
It's all becoming chaotic as we get into the final laps. Obviously, seeing the mirror that JC is not, so I don't think he's too worried about seeing the Lamborghini in his mirror the whole time. He's too busy looking back at it instead of the mirrors. But here we go. Here's a replay coming up into the hairpin. McNeil just barely, and then JC braking right on point. Definitely was saved. I feel like that was a definite save by McNeil there. But McNeil sticking very, very close to the outside. Doesn't look like he got his turn in on time, which has pushed him just out too much wide, and that's a lot of understeer there.
Yeah, he didn't make that apex whatsoever. And yeah, you're going to end up in the grass doing something like that.
That is definitely something you don't want to happen. But yeah, across the field, looks like the gaps. Oh yeah, JC is now 19 seconds behind Alice. So I think that's definitely sealed the deal that Alice is definitely taking second, unless there is an incident. I'm not hoping for a commentator's curse here. Babby sitting really, really close behind Johnston. So unless he makes a move within the next couple of laps, it doesn't look like much is going to happen there. And across the field, it seems like there's more of like a second gap between pretty much everyone except for, pretty much. Oh, Crick is right on the back of Ashley Vediger as well. But yeah, it's pretty much opened up across the field except for these two here who are racing very, very close. And we've got an almost similar thing here, but Babby not shooting down on the outside. Instead, keeping it a bit slower, staying behind Johnston here as they head down towards the Crocodiles through Mineshaft.
Abby taking a wider line through the Crocodiles. See whose line is better. It's like exactly the same, but Babby just piling on the pressure. It looks like this is actually going to be our last lap as we have our leader about halfway through the track with about 5 seconds remaining. So it's time to get it done, Babby.
I think work is to be put in. So Babby obviously will be pushing very hard in the Peter Griffin Porsche. This is the lap to go. Also looking at the deltas in the top left, Austin McNeil getting very, very close to JC again. Same with down the field, Mike Crick right on the back. Oh, no, never mind. Lost a bit of that time. Hopkinson on the back of Jensen in the AM classes back there, 19th and 18th position. Also very close. But this is the battle we want to see. Austin McNeil versus JC, one we've been following for the whole race. One that we've seen multiple times, a few changes between their two positions, but JC still holding out in front of McNeil at the end of this race. This is the final lap as we are approaching the hairpin that I shall not name because I can't remember the name of every time. McNeil looking for maybe an inside line there. Not going to happen. JC still holding on strong. No slide this time. No need for McNeil to save him. And that is the leaders crossing the line. I believe that was Alice there. No, that was Reynolds who crossed the line and a few others further down. Where is Alice? Right, that's a Mustang.
Ellis should be coming through in a second. Yeah, he's just crossing the line now. Here we are. It looks like Convoy has done just enough to stave off this immense pressure that McNeil has piled on. Yeah, down through Ingwe, and hats off to you, Jamie Convoy. P3 locked up after an intense battle all the way through. McNeil has to settle for P4, and I believe that's Petherbridge coming through. But here we are. This is for the win in silver class. It looks like Johnston is going to hold on in the end. Babby settling for second in class, 6 overall. As we have Vega coming through with that 10-second penalty. He's going to be pushed down a few spots. I think that was Appreciato just coming over the line for what will be P7 in the end. I don't know which cars are which anymore. That's Kumar coming through, I know that for sure. Followed by... That was Bushel.
Yeah, I think that was Bushel. Yep. And our little stray runners at the back, I believe that is Jeffcoat. Did I get the name right? Yes, I was correct. Let's go. We're on top of it tonight. And we do have a little pack here coming around the final turn now as well. We're watching some donuts done by JC. And here's a little pack in the middle. I believe that's Kung Vinegar and Crick there, who've had also a pretty good race in that middle pack right there. But... yeah, as it said in game, Ashley Johnson says, hell of a frustrating race, but an awesome one. I do have to agree with that.
Yeah, great racing throughout there. Lots of really tight battles, lots of very, very commendable efforts. Do you want to run us through our final results, please, Mr. Lupti?
Sure. So, for our top 3 overall, let's go for the top 5 because we're in there overall. Ashton Reynolds is in first in the Honda NSX, followed by Brenner Allison the Porsche, Jamie Conboy third in the Nissan GTR, McNeil in the Lamborghini in fourth, and Aston Johnston in the I've lost position, in the Vantage, in the let's just continue on. Let's go. We're on to the silver class. That was our pro class, by the way. We're on to the silver class. We got Johnston in first, followed by Babby, and then followed by Kumar. That's our silver class right there. For the Pro-Ams, we have Appreciato taking first place, Saxon Hayes taking second, and Jeff Coate taking third. That is our Pro-Am. And for our Am, we have Kung, who was leading quite well within, I believe, 12th position, followed by Jensen, followed by Hopkinson, and that is our M class. And that is the whole field across of blue. So, who was your driver of the day?
Can I get the overall standings, please, just to see everyone? I actually think I want to give it to Tim Kung. I think that was a really standout race. Like, he's so far ahead of everyone else in class. So, yeah. Hats off to Tim Kung. Who's your driver of the day?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I'm gonna have to say probably the same actually in this situation. To be an AM class, right? This is a great race, especially in the rain. Great performance there by Tim Kung. So I'll also hand that one to Kung.
All right, so we're going to hand over to Split Red. I believe you're staying on for Split Red, are you not?
Yes, I am. So we will switch over to Split Red in just a moment. Thank you all for coming for Split Blue, and you have a great night, Blake.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a nice night.
Massive diving inside there, and they've really condensed. So far, so good. Dare I say it? Yeah, I did. 3 wides across the field. There is a car around and an absolute fucking car park. This is a fucking joke, and this is why I should never commentate OOR.
One can only
Safety
laugh.
car has been deployed. If you were wondering. So I'm just gonna cut in here. Tamaki, what do you think on that pass? I reckon.
Holy shit! Wow! Oh, was that was an intercontinental ballistic missile sent from the United States there?
Be happy.
No.
That was coming through. Watch out. How many layers of signal are you to give before I change lanes? Yeah. Anyway.
I do recognise that.
All right, well, I'll get us started off here for Split Red. Welcome back. I'm now joined by Lindsay Muddle, and I am maybe somebody else. How are you doing tonight, Lindsay Muddle?
Yeah, I am doing well here in South Africa at Kyalami for the 4th race of Sprint Series this week. Obviously, the 2 on Wednesday, and then we just had Split Blue, and yeah, it's good to have you back this week, Jaden. And from what I understand, you did a bit of a loop-de last night.
Look, again, don't want to talk about it. Look, I hadn't practiced at all for this track. I've never done it before, and I didn't do any practice. And then to do it in the wet, it was not a good idea. I will be practicing from now on, hopefully getting another result like Brands Hatch, maybe, possibly. But yeah, it's all right. We're looking currently, I believe, at Rochford in the Honda, who is on another Honda for this race. The Honda last race did extremely well with Reynolds finishing 1st place. So we'll see what Rochford can do.
Yep, so wet conditions around what is one of the best tracks, in my opinion, in the world, especially on ACC. It's going to be quite a tricky combination as Rochford here in the NSX pushing away up through towards the downhill right, and it is going to be quite a tricky one. I think that all the drivers are going to be pushed to their limits. I think we will see Senakis out the front once again, like always, but the Bentley quite nice in the rain, it's my understanding, so I think we will see just even that, maybe even a Bentley 1, 2, 3. We have a lot of Bentleys on the grid, so there is always that possibility, as they are always fighting up the front. I think we could see a couple of the Fords really struggling tonight. Shady Samuel, who has been up the front almost this entire season, might find himself just slipping a little bit further down. The Mustang really, really tricky in these conditions, but they are great drivers here on the grid in Split Red and just in the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series in general as well. So I think that we will see even drivers in worse cars for the conditions still up there punching their own weight, so it'll be interesting to see.
And as we saw last race, some people do thrive in the wet a lot more than some other drivers. So there will be quite a lot of pushing going on here at Sonicus. Currently, I believe this is the first live quali lap, and that is a 46.4, a good way to start off qualifying. And we'll see slowly as people do cross the line. I believe Chalmers has crossed the line there with a decent time as well, followed behind by Relahi. In the BMW, that very, very close times between the two there.
Yeah, and I think this qualifying session is going to be quite close because you're going to have that mix of drivers that have practiced for the conditions that are up to pace, and then you're just going to have the guys that are going to be quicker and quicker and quicker over the course of the qualifying session. It's going to create quite an interesting dynamic, I think, as we head further and further in. Obviously, short qualifying sessions here in Sprint Series, and there's only 7.5 minutes to go. Everybody just putting in their first laps now, and already it's looking quite close out there.
Yeah, and we are seeing giving way right there. This is going to be a very interesting qualifying session. It is a beautiful Mercedes, and this is, I think, one of the only other Mercedes out there within the splits this season, with last race having Bushel and this race having R. Samuel in the Mercedes. So, is there anybody else who is driving the Mercedes this season? Did you see anybody in green or yellow?
I know that they're in blue. There's Bushel and I'm thinking back to the Mercedes that was holding me up last week in brands. There is one other. I just can't remember their names. So it was Bushel and I don't know. But there is one other one in split blue. Then we have Samuel here in split red. And actually, I'll tell you in a second. In blue, the other Mercedes. Oh, there's 3 of them. So there's Cody Carlson and Burton in blue. Then in red, it is just Samuel. In green, there is Albert. And in yellow, there is none. So, Mercedes are a very scarce species nowadays on ACC, especially here in OOR Sprints. I think that they were so popular a few seasons ago, and then the 1.9 versions, the 1.10 versions came around, and they're getting a little bit quicker with BOP, but they're still not super competitive, so it just takes a driver that really likes the car to end up wrangling it around as we look to Real, who's crossing the line now, does a 47.5 P10 currently in this qualifying session, and the Bentley's looking quite comfortable as we look to Sinakis, who is currently 2/10 in front of Rochford, and he's heading up the hill towards the tricky blind hairpin over the crest, braking, and then trail it back in. Obviously, that Savannah livery at home here tonight in Kyalami, so it's really nice to see that Sinakis is doing well, and through this long left-hander, just about holding it flat out, a lot wider than normal in these wet conditions before you tip it across first gear, across through this very slow right, it's deceptively slow at the minimum speed, and then this very tricky right-hander. Obviously, you've got to just about tag the red and white, but you can't go any further than just under half a tyres, otherwise you will be hitting that yellow sausage curve and finding yourself either with a lot of damage or just off in the gravel and just about able to keep it together as a 46.4 for Sinakis as he improves his time. And now we look to Adderton, who's pushing in the Ford Mustang, currently in P4, despite being in the weaker car for the conditions. That Mustang is still quick in a straight line. He's currently 4/10 up on his PB, or approaching 4/10 up, and that would put him just a 10th behind Sinakis as he heads up through this final sector. A dab of the brakes around the curb, and then way on the throttle, using all the track, even tagging the grass there. He's 4.5 just gaining time all the time through the final corner, but he's losing it a bit on the exit, but it's going to be just about a 5/10 improvement here on his previous best. Where's that going to put him? P2 for Brady Adderton, and he is a 10th behind Sinakis.
Adderton is a very, very quick driver joining us, I believe, only joining us last week over at, where were we last week? Brands Hatch, over at Brands Hatch. So good driving from Adderton to make it around the track that quickly there. Rochford obviously wanting to make a return on that time. Honda seems to be somewhat decent in the wet, so we'll see if he can push a time there. Shady Samuel currently almost 3/10 behind Sonicus, so we'll see if he can also make any improvements on his time. Currently Underwood over here, 8/10 in 8th position, 2/10 up on his previous time, looking maybe to gain a few spots.
Yep, and I think qualifying isn't going to be super crucial here in the rain at Kyalami. I think that obviously there's going to be a lot of chaos in the race with drivers avoiding spins, and just incidents, overtakes are going to be very hard to pull off. So I think that qualifying isn't the most important thing. It's going to be very much a race of attrition, as there we go, Underwood with nearly a spin there. Very well held from the Aston, and Underwood just able to collect it, and already the rain biting pretty hard, but no major incidents that we've seen so far in this qualifying session as we look to the Bentley of Real, who's looking to crack into the 46s right now on a 47.2 and dwindling around that 2/10 up region on his previous best. Short shift up to second on the exit to get the foot right to the floor before you head up the hill through the fast right to finish the lap here at Kyalami. One last left-hander, which is your final corner. Down to first gear, 69 k's an hour minimum speed before powering it out to the line. It's going to be nearly a 2.5 improvement. Will this be a 46? No, it's a 47.012 P8 right now for real as we look to Shady Samuel, who is currently 0.3 up on his previous best. If he continues at his current pace, he will take provisional pole position off of Sinakis. One last corner to go here around the South African circuit, and now power down to the line. This is going to be provisional pole position here for Shady Samuel as he crosses the line. 46.2 has pole by nearly 0.2 over Sinakis. Where will Sinakis find himself petering out at the end of this qualifying session? Surely he's going to be on a lap right now trying to improve, much like Rochford, as we look to the NSX right now, heading towards the final sector. And they do have a Bentley in front of them, but they aren't close enough to cause any problems. As nearly 0.3 up on their previous best is Rochford, and here is Sinakis rounding the final corner, currently nearly 0.4 up on his previous best as he's heading towards the line now. This will be easily provisional pole position back with a minute to go. 46.0, taking provisional pole by over 1/10. But here comes Rochford, nearly 0.6 up. Is this going to be enough to take provisional pole position? I don't think it's going to be, as a bit of a poor exit off the final corner, but it will be P2 for Rochford, only 0.08 behind Sinakis as we head into the final laps and the final minute of this qualifying session.
That is really, really insane qualifying. Far out. I don't know what to say. Maddox making an improvement here, which should move him up to the 5th position. I don't know if I could beat any commentating like that tonight, but that was definitely some sort of crazy ending to that. Relahi also making a little bit of an improvement, but not enough to move up any positions on the track. This is looking pretty good. Yeah, Rochford Pro-Am currently in 2nd place against these very, very quick drivers up at the front. That is incredibly good high speeds from the Honda there. As we can see, it seems like the Honda could do well in the wet, but how long can that car last is the question. As we are now at the end of qualifying, we are looking at Sonicus, who's currently a 10th up on his time in the Great Savannah Bentley. Pushing around the final few corners, this is where the time can be lost or gained. Almost 0.2 up, dropping a little bit in time. Coming around in towards the final turn. 0.2 up currently, entering the final turn. Let's see. Going up to 3. 2.5 up. Is this enough to keep the pole position? Rochford is still on a lap. Shady Samuel has finished his qualifying. He's in the pits now. Rochford's still on the lap out there somewhere. We're looking at Maddox, who's currently 0.6 up, 0.5 now, dropping down a little bit, but this should move up quite a few positions.
Yep, so Maddox currently 0.4 up. A bit of a mistake there through the penultimate corner as they now round the final corner. A good final corner could find themselves up at quite a few positions. 0.3 up as they head towards the line. Maddox now is going to be a 0.2 and P4 for the McLaren right at the dead end of this qualifying session. The time has hit 0. The final laps are all being completed now. Everybody is crossing the line now. This is their final opportunity as it is a 0.6 improvement for O'Brien as he is heading towards the line now. It is going to be a 47.7 up to P14 for the AM class McLaren, and that is qualifying over and done with, as now we'll have our final order in a brief moment's time. And what an ending to that qualifying session it was. And now we head into a very wet 60-minute race. So it was Sinakis on pole with Rochford behind, then Shady Samuel, Maddox, Adderton, Relahi, Samuel, Chalmers, Real, Underwood, Warren, Salvaggio, Gobe, O'Brien, Klopper, Zavaka, Brickley, Hislop, Macaulay, Gosling, and Payno is your grid here for Kyalami. And what a qualifying session it was, Rontanella.
Definitely a interesting qualifying session with Rochford up in 2nd position to start off the race. Incredible result for that Honda. Sonicus obviously not supporting any Bison on his Savannah livery. I'm starting to wonder why. It's almost as if Bison aren't in South Africa. But we will continue down the grid with Shady Samuel taking third position. That is very, very good. The McLaren there on the left, can't remember who took that position. I am forgetting names already.
Maddox.
But Maddox is currently in fourth position. That is a good spot for the silver class driver there. And Addison in the right with the Holden livery on the Ford.
That's a crime against humanity, but anyway, we'll
so good.
live with it. Then Relahi on the left-hand side in the BMW. Then you have R. Samuel in the Mercedes, the only one on the grid. And then you have Chalmers and Real, the two Bentleys, locked at the hip once again, like at Brands Hatch. Then you have Underwood in what is a stunning Galaxy Aston Martin. And then you'll have the Porsche of Warren and Salvaggio, who had a bit of an interesting Brands Hatch race, copping a penalty as well. We'll be looking to not cop a penalty here in the wet conditions. And then you have the Ferrari of Gobe in a very nice looking Ferrari. I actually really adore that livery. It actually reminds me of my McLaren livery, but just with a little bit of a brighter colour, so I really like how that blends together. It's a very nice looking livery. And then you have... I've lost where I am now, but anyway, we're approaching the back of the grid. It's Klopper on the right-hand side, then Zavaka in the 99 Macca's car. Then you have the Bentley of Brickley, which is very nice looking. And then you have Hislop, who got into a huge battle last week at Brands Hatch, but a lot further down the grid this time around. And we don't see the Audi of Ben Dyke, who Hislop was battling with, on the grid tonight. Then you have another Holden liveried Ford with Gosling, then with Macaulay. Then you have Gosling and Payno to round out your grid. So we have 14 seconds until the formation lap gets underway, and probably quite a reasonable amount of carnage ahead of us here in the wet conditions at Kyalami for split red. Bit of a smaller grid tonight, but that's what wet conditions do, I guess. And it's going to be a fascinating one as Sinakis leads us away for the formation lap.
Will there be death lap 1?
Well, if the Star Wars intro was anything to go by, yes. I hope we don't see it quite to that extent, though.
What's JC asks in the chat, what's more of a sham? Annie, so that's Rochford in Pro-Am, or Maddox in Silver? I'm going to say they're both as much of a sham as each other.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one, Jaden. I think that they're both interesting classes, but they'll get moved around. We are actually, crucially, a talking point going into after this round is the fact that we have a 2-week break where adjustments will be made to classes, presumably, but also car changes could be on the horizon for a lot of drivers. So that is a talking point. We could see a lot of drivers' last races in these cars for the season, or they're going to stick with them. It all depends, but it'll be interesting to see how the grid is shaken up going into the next race, which I can't remember what round 5 is, but...
Round 5 is, we are heading off next week is Nordschleifer. We are heading off in 3 weeks' time over to Imola for round 5 of the OOR Sprint Series. So, yeah, that's an interesting track. We just did a pretty long enduro there, a nice 12-hour at Imola. So, yeah, hopefully we'll retain some of my knowledge of the track from when I did that and might be able to be somewhat quick.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I think that Imola always creates pretty good racing, but it is quite tight and pretty tricky to pull an overtake off at, but the cars are now lined up, double file and ready to go racing. I'll take the race start, but we have a 4.529 kilometer lap of this circuit in Kyalami, so it's going to be interesting to see how many times these drivers can negotiate that length over an hour without spinning or causing any problems. Maybe they'll even pull a loop-D, but hopefully not. Sorry, Jaden, I had to do it. So it's going to be Sinakis leading the way alongside Rochford, and then Samuel and Maddox line up in the second row of the grid as we approach the final corner. Now the drivers will be mentally preparing for what is going to be one of the toughest hours of their lives here in racing, that is, and it is going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a race of attrition here. The green flags are ready to wave, probably with raincoats on the person waving them. The green lights are also ready to go as we do approach the line. And it is going to be green flag racing. The green flags are waving, and we are go, 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 go here in Kyalami. Sinakis gets a good punch off the line. Rochford is still going to try this the long way round, as Ralahi also going up the inside of Maddox, and that's 3 wide there. In the background, Brady Adderton trying to put a nose in this contact between himself and Shady Samuel in the background there, and Ramaz Samuel as well, finding himself under a bit of pressure there. There's a spin. There's 2 cars off. It was contact between Salvaggio and the Bentley of Mike Reel, and that is an incident to kick off this race. Yellow flags waving, but the cars are back going in a straight line, as this is Brady Adderton we're looking at currently, who is trying to put the pressure on to the Bentley of Chalmers as they head into the middle sector. They've negotiated sunset. Now they head into the 2 left-handers, and now that is a pretty calm thing, all things considered, first sector here in Kyalami. But there's still the rest of the first lap to go, and that is Ralahi out loose in the M4. Maddox trying to put the pressure on for the P3 position, the silver class driver trying to get P3 overall. Maddox is going to look the outside, he hits the grass, and he goes overshooting, spinning off, aquaplaning off, and that is what the rain can do, and just grass on the entry in general can do, and that is not a good way to go starting your 60-minute race here.
Lucky it is only the start of the race. There's still heaps of time to gain back positions and hopefully at least clean up what you can do. Yeah, no, very, very crazy start to start off the race. A few spins, a little bit of damage for a few cars, but the order is all out of whack now. Very interesting to see. Someone who I don't think we talk about enough is Pete Chalmers here, who is in the green Bentley that we are currently on, racing for Kovacs Racing, pushing hard around the track almost every week. I don't think I've seen necessarily a bad race from him this season.
Yeah, he's been pretty consistent, but right now, this is where your consistency can be challenged with an attacking Brady Adderton in the Ford Mustang right up behind him. That American Ford versus the British Bentley, and the Bentley normally a bit stronger in these conditions, but Adderton has been the quicker driver all season, but Chalmers no slouch himself, currently sitting in P4, proving that point, as Sinakis is actually struggling to pull away from Rochford. It's nearly a second, but normally he'd be multiple seconds up the road by now, at least in the themes of the other races, as that is Ralahi off the road in P3. Chalmers might take a look now. Never mind, he decides to back out of it, but Ralahi wide again. Chalmers with a good exit. They're going to go side by side as they head down the hill. I think Adderton will take his chance now. Chalmers gets through. Adderton's on the inside. That becomes the outside for the next sequence. The BMW running out a little bit wide, but Adderton fully committed on the outside. He's now going to get the inside for the hairpin, and the Ford is going to go down the inside. Adderton on Ralahi. I think he's going to make that one stick there, and that is the Ford through into P4, and Ralahi is going to be absolutely kicking himself for what was a massive string of mistakes that's now going to put him into the clutches of Shady Samuel and Underwood to put the pressure on now.
And that is a very unlucky opportunity right there. Obviously, them taking advantage of such an opportunity where you've gone off the track, you've lost that traction, and you've kind of lost that flow that you get, which is almost needed, especially in a wet condition. You need a little bit of a flow just to keep the car running at a consistent speed, something that will keep you up ahead of everybody. So that's going to be having Ralahi probably kicking himself just a little bit about that situation. But again, it's 56 minutes to go. Ralahi still has time to try to make up those positions, but now he's got the problem of Shady Samuel right on his back. Shady Samuel obviously starting in third position. Me just trying to remember back, but the elbows are out and everybody is fighting. Here is a replay of early on into the race. This is where the Bentley and the McLaren have collided and spun. The cars choosing different routes to go around, and yeah, that's not ended pretty well there. Pete Chalmers currently still holding off Brady Adderton with a 3/10 gap between them. It does look like it's going to keep close for most of the race. We might get another McNeil and JC situation, which was from the last race, keeping it close throughout the whole thing. But I'm very interested to see how well these two battle it out. It is a battle of who can keep the car on the track, who doesn't touch the grass, who touches the curbs. As we do see Adderton heading to the outside for the for the hairpin, but does not manage to pull it off.
Yeah, and that's just always going to be the case there. That particular hairpin at Kyalami going around the outside is next to impossible with the way that the exit opens up for the car on the inside. It is almost impossible to get a move done around the outside unless there's a major mistake, as Relahi is under pressure from Shady Samuel, but Chalmers and Adderton nearly went side by side there on the exit. The Mustang trying to stick a nose in, and the Bentley just holding on with all of his willpower as Samuel is looking to get a good exit in the background, but Chalmers is under an immense amount of pressure here, and this is where the Mustang is going to stretch its legs in quite a big straight line here at Kyalami as they head through what is classified as turn 1, this right-hand kink, and down towards the braking zone. Will Adderton commit to the inside or the outside? It's looking like it's going to be neither, and that is going to be Chalmers defending very, very nicely, placing his car in the middle of the track. Adderton trying to pull alongside on the exit, but is not able to do it. He's going to continue to apply the pressure, as meanwhile in the background, Shady Samuel and Relahi nearly touch, but they manage to both keep out of each other's way. But Samuel is going to start getting impatient here. Relahi not having the overall pace here in race trim in the early stages of this Kyalami race, and round 4 looking to be the most action-packed one yet in Split Red, and the wet weather definitely throwing a spanner into the works for a few drivers who are really struggling with consistency. And Adderton still trying to put the pressure onto the Bentley as they head down the hill towards the end of the middle sector. The hairpin is where you really want to try and make a move. Even in the wet conditions, it's your best opportunity, but Adderton makes a mistake on the exit. He's not going to be close enough this time around, but that's Chalmers who's made a massive mistake. He still manages to collect the car. A beautiful way to collect the car. He's going to be racing Adderton on the exit as they head down the hill, but that's the only mistake that Adderton needed. It was a significant one from Chalmers, but Chalmers is not done yet. The Bentley trying to look left. He's going to look around the outside here as they head through the final sector, but that is Adderton through, and that was a massive save there. Honestly, the grass for once helping someone collect the car, which is such a rare sight to see, and I thought that that was going to be Chalmers gone, and now Relahi is going to try the inside of the final corner. This invites Samuel. It's a car park here. They are going super slow through the final corner as they head down the straight. Chalmers is going to find himself under a lot of pressure from Relahi, who's been the one under pressure, and he's still the one under pressure. Samuel is going to try the outside here on Relahi as they head down towards the first braking zone. Mustang on the outside, BMW on the inside as they power out of the corner. I think that Shady Samuel is going to get the place, but they're still side by side as they head up towards turn 4, and that is going to be Relahi committing on the inside. There's contact. Now Underwood tries to get through as well. He gets through. Shady Samuel loses out a place in a twisted turn of events.
Holy moly, just more racing. This race has already been so incredible. A lot of passing and a lot of those tiny mistakes causing some position changes. But something to look at. Rochefort currently only 2 seconds behind Jean-Pierre Sonicus. Which is meaning they're keeping it close. Adderton wanting to make up that space as well, 5 seconds behind Rochefort. So that is the top 3 currently having a little bit of a gap. Pete Chalmers has lost a little bit of time as well, with a second now behind Adderton, and Relahi also a second behind Chalmers. So there's a little bit of a gap there. Now Underwood's going to want to take the opportunity to push through now that he is. Well, he's behind Relahi. Yeah, so Underwood's going to want to take an opportunity to try to pass Relahi to put a little bit of a gap between himself and Shady Samuels, who's got R Samuel just behind him, or with a little bit of a slide into Crocodiles. That is a little bit dangerous there. Don't want to hit that curb on the inside. You will go flying. But Relahi also making a little bit of a gap. I'm wondering if he's going to try to take a defensive line into turn 2, because technically it is turn 2. The kink here not being really much of a turn, but still technically counting. But Shady Samuel looking up on the inside of Underwood here. Looks like he's going to make the pass, and he has successfully gone on the inside there. But whether it's going to be a switchback, it doesn't look like there is going to be. It looks like Shady Samuel is going to hold that position. Now chasing back onto the rear of Relahi and hoping for another opportunity to overtake.
So he is going to try and put the pressure on again. We saw these two come to blows just a lap ago at this very, well, the corner before the corner they're going through right now, which is Sunset, and Samuel is going to keep that in mind, I'm sure. And I think that Ralahi was just reluctant to give the place up, kept his nose in when he was falling back just a little bit. It's not his fault, it was just racing at the end of the day, but just that little bit of contact which lost Samuel out. It's all in the spirit of the competition, and Samuel will know that, but he's probably just going to try and stick the elbows out just that slight bit more next time he goes for an overtake on that BMW, and Ralahi will probably know that as well, subconsciously in the back of his mind as he's lapping around here. We are already 10 minutes in to this race, and yeah, I think that Samuel has a bit of a charge on his mind, and the Mustang in his hands, even in these wet conditions where it struggles so much, he's keeping it in check, and he's putting on a brilliant show, much like Brady Adderton, who's sitting in P3s. That is the 420 McLaren, who's all over the place. This is Gobe trying to put the pressure onto O'Brien, and that is an AM class car in P11. That is really impressive, and that is currently our AM class leader. And I've heard the race control noise, but I don't see any message popping up, so we'll see if it pops up anytime soon. But that is Gobe there, wide at the final corner. And now we move to Maddox versus one of the Bentleys. I don't even remember which Bentley that is, but Maddox after his spin early on. It is Maddox versus Brickley. There we go. I figured out the names eventually. Brickley had a spin on, I believe, the first lap of the race, or it was at the second lap. And now he's trying to make a charge. He tried the inside at turn 1. Isn't going to be able to get it done on the exit, or is he? He's down the inside. Oh, that's massive contact there. And that is going to be Brickley spinning off the road and right back onto it. Hopefully he's holding his brakes. And that is, we need a replay of that from a bit of a better camera view to really make a commentator's initial judgment. But we have stewards for that very reason. And I think that leads us into the perfect segue. Just saying thank you to our stewards, as here is the heli cam, and oh, Maddox just went right into him. He had a bit of a snap on the curb and just drove into the Bentley. That'll probably be a penalty coming Maddox's way, but the stewards sometimes see things we don't. But yeah, massive shout out to the stewards and our broadcaster, who is Benjamin Hignett tonight. And yeah, all the stewards out in the box, you are the guys that really make this happen. You are the ones that help this series and all of Octane Online Racing run, and we can't appreciate you enough, as that is Ralahi making a mistake there, and Shady Samuel is going to try and take advantage of it. He tried the long way around, cut back on the exit as they head up the hill towards Crocodiles now, and trying to put the pressure on, but that is not a place where you can go from here. Samuel knows that. He's just trying to pressure Ralahi into a mistake, but Ralahi has closed in quite a lot on Chalmers, and actually Ralahi has a penalty as well. So that'll be what the race control noise was, never popped up on the screen now. We can continue to look at Shady Samuel. He's using the fourth Nords Mustangs in a straight line. Is it going to be enough? He keeps sticking those over. He's not going to go down the inside. It's too slippery to try and move like that, and I think Samuel knows that. But this is a nice little 3-car train, and if any makes that, Underwood would be invited in to make a 4 train as well. There we go, Samuel down the inside, lost contact again at that corner, turn 4, playing another victory from Ralahi. Samuel can continue to make contact. That's a victory on the circuit. There we go, does get involved with these up into the top 5, but those two just keep going up blows at that corner. Samuel and Ralahi can't seem to stop door banging, and that was really interesting there. I think that Samuel was a little bit aggressive, but Ralahi made the mistake to open the door, and I think that's just racing at the end of the day. But these two need to stop coming to blows.
Yeah, no, the elbows are definitely up, especially between these two. I believe that Ralahi pen is for an incident between himself and Shady Samuel early on the same corner when they did touch just a little bit. But yeah, they seem to be definitely throwing the elbows out, just trying to push through, trying to get that top 5. Here's a replay of the Mercedes within this group, going a little bit wide, touching the, yeah, and there you go, just that understeer. As soon as you touch those curbs, you have no traction anymore. It's all gone. No more.
Yeah, and that's just the grass on the entry. We saw Chalmers do that earlier and was able to collect it up. He was half spun though, and I think Samuel was just, he just went wide instead of getting the oversteer to go with. So just different reactions from different cars. As here is a replay of the incident. We saw Samuel just poking the nose there, but he was never going to go for it. And then he got an amazing exit. I wonder if Ralahi made a mistake. It does look like he's just a little bit slow off the exit there. A bit of a wobble. Sammy saw the move and he just kind of drove into him. I think that was just braking understeer in the wet that caused that one. As once again, they are actually going wheel to wheel through the same section of racetrack, but this time Samuel swoops the long way round before they even get to the braking zone, and that is finally move done for Shady Samuel, and he can breathe. Ralahi can also breathe as he's going to continue to try and put the pressure on. We are 15 minutes into this race, and these two have been battling like it's the final 5 minutes since they started fighting.
Yeah, no, they, as I said, these two definitely have their elbows out right now, and they're just battling it out. The same section every single time, and it's been what, 4 laps in a row that they've battled through there. That's really, really hard racing between these two. They are losing time to Underwood by battling this much, but I believe Shady Samuel now, having got past Ralahi, will be just trying to make a gap. It just depends whether he'll be able to. Ralahi, with the 10-second penalty, will be pushing even harder, trying to make a gap on any cars behind him, and probably try to stay within the top 10, which is likely at this stage, but we are only a little bit into the race, only 15 minutes in, so still a lot of race to go and a lot of battles to come. But in the top 5 currently, there's almost a 3-second gap between every car or more. So yeah, very, very distant racing, and still a long time to go. There's Sonicus, the only challenge on the track at the moment, the Bison that are obviously in the grandstands, and there's Rochford, currently 5 seconds behind Page around the track as well. That is a great Honda. And then we go with Adderton with the interesting livery, and Pete Chalmers in 4th. The Pro-Ams taking over the top 5 today. Look at look at that. They're holding on.
Yeah, and I think obviously those classes will probably be reviewed, but also there have been incidents that do attribute to it as well. But still, 3 Pro-Am drivers in the top 5 fighting for their podium places, especially Rochford. He was really quick in Brands Hatch as well, so I'd imagine that gets looked at just a little bit, but a couple of the classes here in Split Red probably aren't particularly correct, but they'll be changed as to see fit, as Ralahi makes a massive mistake in the background there. I thought he was going to go around in that BMW, but he manages to keep it on the road as Samuel has blitzed away from Ralahi and is now set his sights on to Underwood for the top 5 once again. This is where he was before. Well, he was in P6 where he is right now, but he was fighting Ralahi for the P5 place before they came to blows, and Underwood cut underneath the both of them, and now he's going to try and take that P5 position. Here is the snap that I saw Ralahi have in the background, just wide onto the curb, and that is a massive save there from Ralahi to keep the car going in a straight line, as Samuel has had the run off the hairpin as they head down the hill now towards the 3rd sector. Samuel on the inside of Underwood is going to get right through, and he moves up into the P5 spot. A brilliant move there from Shady Samuel. Full commitment in these wet weather conditions to get it done through that fast left-hander. There's a massive bump on the inside there. It doesn't affect the cars, but in the rain, I would imagine it would be quite scary, and that is a great move from Shady Samuel.
Shady Samuel, as I said, making up that time, and here's a replay of it. Yeah. You got Underwood going wide there, leaving enough room for Shady Samuel just to sneak in with enough time. And really, that Aston has no chance of beating a Mustang's top speed, but they're going to push hard right through there. And you just see that difference on having that inside line through that area. And we do see Gob here taking over, or currently in a battle with Maddox. Ferrari versus McLaren, a little bit of change there. Obviously, Maddox wanting to take on the inside, holding very, very tight with that defensive line, but we're going to see the Ferrari have a bit of a better takeoff, assumedly, if there is enough, but the Ferrari just losing a little bit too much time there, but shooting up just as they enter in towards this section of the track after the barbecue turn. I believe that was barbecue, and we're now heading into sunset with these two. I'm learning the names of the track as we go. Let's go.
I very much am not. I think I know 2 corner names around this circuit. I do actually have a track map that I can pull up on my second screen, but it has other stuff on it, so I always get really confused. So I'll just learn as I go through this 60-minute race, which we are almost 20 minutes through, as O'Brien is going to be under pressure from Maddox any time now. The AM class leader is going to be under pressure from the silver class P2 car. That is crazy to say, that the P2 and silver class is sitting in P11. As there we go, Maddox up the inside. They nearly make contact there, just a little bit of understeer on the inside of the hairpin from Maddox. It's McLaren versus McLaren, as the stewards have made another remark, I'm sure, but we just don't see it. Again, the race control not working, as here goes Gobe as well on the inside, as here is Maddox versus a Porsche. I don't know which Porsche, but I would imagine this is the penalty, and yeah, that would probably be it. Yeah, that's definitely a penalty for Maddox, and yeah, that was very interesting to go up the inside of Crocodiles like that. That is, I wonder what would have to be going through your head at that very moment going down the inside there.
Yeah, no, look, it's a bit scary coming around, especially on these faster turns on this wet track. You just get pushed out so wide so easily, and then once you start getting pushed out wide, you slide, and there's no stopping. Here's a replay again, Ferrari versus McLaren, or just a little bit of contact. I'm not sure what you could call for that one, or very close for that Porsche that we saw in that incident a bit earlier, and that's another opportunity for a Mustang back there to do an overtake. So that's created a few opportunities for few different cars. But we are seeing right here, Shady Samuel's caught up to the back of Pete Chalmers. Shady Samuel really working his way up the field. We'll see if he can make a clean pass through any of these next few sectors, as they do head up to Lionhead, or I'm not going to say the name for it in its original language because I do not know how to pronounce it.
Yep, nor do I, but Samuel is on an absolute charge here in Kyalami, and it's been really good to see Samuel on the charge after his incident, and he is going to go down the inside of Chalmers and get that one done. Chalmers not even going to be able to race it on the exit, but I'm sure it's not done. But Chalmers has a hard task to stay with, but he drops off the podium place, but he is still P2 in his class, but he'll want to try and get the podium back, but a mistake from any of the leaders as well could cause that. But now I'm sure he's going to fall back into the clutches of Underwood if he isn't careful in these wet conditions. After getting re-overtaken, you're trying to push and push and push after you get overtaken to try and re-overtake, and it's the perfect opportunity for the cars behind to capitalize on any mistakes. As right now we look to Gabriel Salvaggio as he heads through the final corner. He's going to go down the inside of the final corner on Macaulay, and now on the exit he's going to be trying to race a Mustang in a straight line. This is a brave move from Salvaggio, but he has to get it done somehow, and down towards turn 1 they go through the right hand kink, which is turn 1, and now the turn 2 braking zone. He will try and look down the inside, but he doesn't have the brakes to pull it off. The McLaren's brakes are absolutely shocking, and with no straight line to boot as well, he wasn't going to be able to get past a Mustang there, but he does look like he has the measure over Macaulay, much like Mike Reel does in the background as well. I think Macaulay just has a little bit of a train following behind him at this current stage, and they just have to try and work their way through, but overtaking a Mustang's easier said than done, as Salvaggio still trying to find a way through as they head through Sunset. This could be a place to do it. If the McLaren gets a good run off this fast right-hander, he is actually going to try and look for it. He runs out a little bit wider, but he isn't going to quite commit to that one, as we also in the bottom right see Underwood versus Relahi as well. Underwood is going to find himself under a bit of pressure, but Relahi also carrying that time penalty. Salvaggio all underneath the bumper of the Ford Mustang. Macaulay is going to be under significant amounts of pressure here as they head up through the hairpin, through the Lion's Head, and down the inside, and Salvaggio taps the Mustang around, taps him back around for good measure. Mike Reel is going to get a double overtake, and that is also going to be the other McLaren, as Zavaka trying to get it done as well in the background. Couldn't quite capitalize just as well. And now Macaulay is going to be racing Gabriel Salvaggio as they head down into the braking zone. The Mustang goes back down the inside on Salvaggio, who then gets to switch back into the background. That's Brickley tapping around the car 99 Zavaka. And that's all incidents kicking off here in the middle and final sector. And that is an interesting string of corners from a couple of drivers up and down. And I think the biggest winner from that one is Mike Reel, who was able to get a double overtake. Through goes Reel, one would say.
They call that they call this split blood for a reason, and the elbows are definitely out today with this rainy weather. You'd think people would be a bit more careful, but it seems like everyone's driving just a lot harder. Wallahi right on the back of Underwood now, who seems to be slowly catching Chalmers, but Shady Samuel also trying to make that little bit of a gap up on Adderton that was created there, who Adderton is also currently almost 3 seconds behind Rochford, who's in that Honda pushing very hard around the track. Sonicus currently still in the lead with the fastest lap, who the next place, Rochford, is 7 seconds behind Sonicus at the moment. So, yeah, very, very hard driving at the moment, and it's pushing along.
Yes, Sonicus has been a dominant force here in Split Red this season. I think the most pressure he came under was when he made his own mistake at the Netherlands, and also Watkins Glen was a pretty close round as well. Here's the replay of Brickley just tapping the car 99 of Zavaka around. It's just poor putting the nose in, and then he just keeps hitting him on the exit, and I think that Brickley will probably find himself getting a penalty for that one. It's just a half-committed move there on the inside under pressure from the McLaren of O'Brien, and then he crumbled under the pressure and ended up hitting the car in front of him, and definitely not what you want to see. And then the hairpin incident between Salvaggio and Macaulay was also quite interesting, but I think that once again, much like we saw in Brands Hatch, Salvaggio just making a half-hearted dive bomb because he was getting desperate, and I think he's going to cop a penalty for it, as right now we look to Relahi, and I'll never attempt to pronounce I'll never attempt to pronounce the first name of Relahi, but Jaden, if you want to give it a go.
Why are you putting this on to me? Let me have a look. Nirasana Relahi. Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, there is blood in the water today on Kyalami. But yeah, look, we are here, and I'm not sure how this race is going to end at this point, because it is way too chaotic out there. From the very first lap, we've just had chaos, and I am now lost.
Yeah, I think that Jaden needs a nap, guys. I think that he's nearly done for the night. We are approaching that halfway mark of this final race in Asia Pacific Sprints, and yeah, it'll be I think relief for Loop Diaz. I think that his brain is doing Loop Diaz right now. Would you agree?
Just a couple, but we're out here still racing hard, at least watching the racing hard. I'm very happily sitting in my room, enjoying this and commentating alongside you right now.
Yeah, but here's a replay of the first lap, and this is where Maddox found himself spinning around, and that is also Salvaggio and Real. That is where Real picked up the penalty. That's Hislop, who also had to go around them, and yeah, that is why Real picked up his penalty, and that is why Salvaggio finds himself closer to the back as well, instead of closer to that mid-pack in that P7 to 11 area. And Underwood is still under pressure from Relahi, who's just kind of not getting closer. He got closer and closer and closer, but since he's gotten inside that 5/10 mark, he hasn't really continued to apply the pressure. But I think that could be for many factors. I think one of them is just trying to survive. We've seen Relahi all over the place. And also another factor is the fact that he already has a 10-second time penalty. He doesn't want to make a desperate move and add more to his count. I don't think he wants a nice another penalty to go with his 10-second. I don't think he wants them as a pairing. And that is why he's just staying patient. He's got to wait for his opportunity here. There's still 30 more minutes to go, and I think that's showing. As a couple of drives, we have seen quite a lot of incidents, people getting impatient. They really don't need to. There's half an hour left, and I think we will see this race potentially settle down, but maybe not in the rain. It's kind of here, there, and everywhere. It's hard to tell, but Macaulay, I think, is in a nice little battle with Salvaggio still, 7.5 tenths between those two, just looking at the leaderboard, and I think that Klopper is also quite close behind Gobe as well. But we'll look to Macaulay. He is falling away from Salvaggio a bit, so maybe a bad spot for me, but he is staying inside that 1 second, so still Salvaggio, if he makes a mistake, could find himself under pressure from that Mustang that he did tap around, as once again we hear the race control but we don't see it, so we'll have to try and figure out who got a penalty. Klopper is actually the one who got a penalty. 10-second by the looks of it. So Klopper in the 737 car picks up a penalty, and maybe we'll see a replay of why. Or maybe we already have and I just don't remember it. There was a lot of carnage going on, so it's a bit hard to keep track, as I think Macaulay might actually find himself under a bit of pressure here from O'Brien, but the McLaren having a massive snap, and he actually might find himself under more pressure from the car behind him of Brickley as they cross the line. The gap is 0.8 between both of those cars to each other, and we are basically halfway through this race now. It's not even 33 minutes. It is about to tick under that 30-minute to go mark, and the drivers right now getting somewhat impatient. There's been some interesting incidents, but other than that, everybody else has been keeping their nose pretty clean. There has been some absolutely stunning battles, especially in the earlier portions of this race, and there is still halfway of this race to go, and a lot more action ahead of us, I'm sure, as Relahi has actually fallen off Underwood just a little bit, not much, but a little bit, and I think that Relahi will probably start to get quite frustrated with himself if he can't close back up to Underwood, because this is a cross-class battle at the end of the day, and the overall position for the pro-class driver would probably be more important, but also with the 10-second, is he going to even be able to pull that off over halfway through the race? Maybe not, but still the on-track wouldn't be bad to have, as we now have 29 minutes and 21 seconds to go. And what would be your summary of the first half of the race, Jaden?
Well, if anything, that was one of the most chaotic starts I think I've seen this season. Considering how it has been different from last season, which was a lot more chaos, this race has just been non-stop action. Let me find my words there. We are seeing some of the elbows being thrown, and we're seeing exactly what happens in wet races. You have those drivers who haven't got much experience in the wet, and you've got those drivers who just excel extremely well in the wet in any car, and we're seeing that tonight as well with these times that some of these drivers are putting on. So it's definitely, the best way to summarize it is chaotic.
Yeah, as Brickley is going down the inside of Sam O'Brien. They're going wheel to wheel through the first corner. There's a little bit of contact there as they head through the third corner, which is just a little bit of a right-hand kink before the fourth corner braking zone. Brickley all over the rear end of O'Brien as they head towards the exit now, towards Sunset Curve. And is the Bentley going to go down the inside? Brickley does go down the inside, and it's a great move there, but I just don't think O'Brien wanted to fight that one. And Brickley gets up into P16. A nice move there from the Bentley. So a little bit of racing action going on. And Relahi closing back up to Underwood again. It's kind of extending, closing, with no actual battle happening between these two cars just yet. But there's still plenty of time to go for this to develop.
So, so Underwood obviously holding on for a good fight here. The gaps still open all across the field. 5-second gaps between a lot of the cars at the moment, with Relahi and Underwood's being the closest at the moment. Maybe a little battle back there between O'Brien and Brickley, also having a little bit of EOR in the back, just a tiny bit. But yeah, this seems to be where the central battle is at the moment between Relahi and Underwood, pushing hard around the track. The Aston, obviously, very, very good car in the wet. The BMW, from what I've heard, very stable car. So both stable cars, and that does not look good for Underwood. I believe that was a little bit of an internet issue there for the Aston Martin. I really hope he hasn't gone. No, he's still in, so that's good to see. Internet has not taken him out of this race, but Relahi is right on the back of him. That looks like it might have been just a little bit of contact pushing Underwood a little bit into oversteer, but it looks like Relahi has backed off a little, giving Underwood that space again to build up speed and push on as they head into the hairpin up here. This will be Relahi trying to make a move on the inside here. Underwood leaving him just enough room as they push around. And then Underwood's going to hold on to the position for now, but they are heading around. Nope, Underwood has kept the position. It seems that the Aston has kept that pace. We've got another penalty out. We will see who that was for in just a moment. But yeah, it looks like Relahi is really pushing for that position.
Yeah, and he is down the inside there on Underwood as they head through now down the hill. And Ralahi might find himself going down the inside of this right-hander. He does go out wide to try and set up the move, but he's going to slot back in behind Underwood and doesn't quite go for it just yet. But I can imagine that sparks will continue to fly between these two as they continue to battle away here. And down towards turn number 2, the heavy braking zone, and I realised that my commentary was a bit delayed on that one. That is because I accidentally looked over to the wrong screen and was watching the YouTube feed. How good of me. I'm a professional, guys, trust me.
More professional than me at the moment. I'm way too tired for this, but this is good. Let's continue on.
Sorry, just quickly. I didn't even realise that I was looking at the YouTube feed, and then I realised that I just heard you talk over that exact thing. I was like, wait, I'm an idiot.
Look, that's all right. But Salvaggio with a drive-through. I believe that was a penalty that was just given out. So I'm guessing that would be for, I'm not sure which incident there, but not really what you want in a race with no pit stops. That will definitely put Salvaggio down, maybe towards last, I'd say.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but a drive-through is just the way the cookie crumbles. As here is the moment at the hairpin, and yeah, it was just a half-committed dive bomb from Salvaggio, and we saw it in Brands Hatch as well. And yeah, I think he just needs to work on his commitment for moves there if he doesn't want to keep racking up the penalties with a couple of rounds to go. As once again, race control making a beep, but nothing popping up. But I can and that's
Another
the drive-through. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. Was that because of the incident, or is that track limits? I'd imagine it's the incident we saw.
I believe that was the incident with Zavaka, where he kept driving through Zavaka's car after the incident. Yep.
Makes sense. The stewards are very harsh tonight, but it's also deserved. Like, it's not saying they're being too harsh. It's just, you know, drive-throughs aren't handed out too often by the stewards. Normally it's 10 and 15s as we see a replay there, and that is why the drive-through was handed out. But if you look to the bottom left-hand side, and now it goes back onto the main screen, Ralahi tried the outside down at turn 1, and now he's going to try the outside on Underwood. As we look there, the picture-in-picture rear wing cameras, that's the car 737 going slowly. I think Klopper has come a cropper of his own volition there, probably a self-spin Porsche things, or maybe he was tapped around. We'll have to see, but I don't think he had anybody behind him. And just look at how hard the BMW of Ralahi is pushing, and even Underwood isn't going out quite as wide, using as much track, but that is because he's the car defending. He doesn't necessarily have to. He's just placing his car in a right place at the right time. Maybe not, though, as he goes off the racetrack, and that is Ralahi through without even having to make the overtake on the grey tarmac surface, and that is move done for Ralahi, and that is a crucial mistake, and Underwood just crumbling under the pressure.
Yep, and that's one of those things you've got to look out for, especially out on these wet tracks, is that crumbling under pressure can do a lot more damage than a lot of other, like dry tracks, for example, where you can kind of, if you're at a dry track here, that pressure might not do as much to you as it does here. Klopper in the pits. I don't believe Klopper had a DT, so that's Klopper in the pits at the moment. Bit interesting.
He did have yellow flag, so maybe he picked up damage from a spin, or maybe he was tapped. Maybe we could get a replay of that, as I'm not particularly sure what happened. But anyway, as we look right now to Sinakis and that lovely Savannah livery, as here is what happened to Klopper, and I think it is on his own. And through the long left, no, nothing. The braking zone, we saw him have a moment here in qualifying. He had a massive snap on the apex. That's not what happened here. He's just slowed down, and he's just going very, very, very slow. He's full throttle as well.
Have we seen a bit of a mechanical issue?
Is that... I'm not sure.
Is that a dead engine?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think you can blow up the engine in ACC. I've done it myself. Don't ask how or why, but I have. And that does look like a dead engine, not a hardware failure. He was full foot flat on the throttle. As here he goes. Has he just shifted down too quickly? Watch the downshifts. Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
Just way too fast. He's blown the gearbox right up, and I've not
That's
seen that
very
one
unlucky.
for a very long time. It's not really unlucky. It's just I don't know. It's a bit of a skill issue, honestly.
Yeah, no, right there. Look at
Yeah,
that. Look
yeah,
at the
exactly.
RPMs
Yeah,
on that right now. First gear, 10,570. Oh, jeez, that's
yeah,
that's so
yeah.
much.
That's too quick on the downshifts there. In the Porsche, that is a big blown up engine and a big rebuild for the mechanics if this wasn't a sim. And yeah, that is just bad downshifting.
But we are back into looking at Sonicus, who is currently up ahead, and looks like Klopper is out, coming back out on the track after getting a new engine. Hopefully not too far behind. We'll be able to make up some time, possibly. Hopefully. But we are in the last 20 minutes of the race. Sonic is currently in the lead by 11 seconds to Rochford, who is followed by Brady Adderton, who is 3 seconds behind Rochford. Shady Samuel, who is another 3 seconds behind Adderton. And then Pete Chalmers, 8 seconds behind those 4. So that is the top 5 there. And Pete Chalmers is currently followed by Ralahi, who has a 10-second penalty. So I don't think he's got too much of pressure. It seems like everyone's in a bit of open air. So I guess we'll be seeing the best laps at the moment. But yeah, they're pushing through, and it's long races now, these last 19 minutes. And if you do enough, I think you can blow it in one hit if you do enough. But I also believe it could have been done a few times, especially with a couple spins. You can have your RPMs go quite high.
Yeah, when I blew up my engine, I did it because too many times at Silverstone in a Mercedes, I shifted down too quickly going into Stowe, and yeah, it just slowly wears away. It goes light yellow, then orange, and then red, and it dies. So I'd say that's just repeat offences there of shifting down too quickly for the Porsche of Klopper, and it's quite easy to do at Kyalami. In all fairness, I mean, the corners do slop very, very quickly because they're super open, but then they go super, super tight. So it is quite easy to just downshift one too many times and one too many times too quickly as well. So it's an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, so not great to absolutely destroy your engine, but what can you do at this point? So yeah, as I said, he's going to be wanting to make up time. Still got a 10-second penalty, so I think it's just a lot of now racing around for Klopper, just trying to minimize the damage. Sonic is still with the fastest lap, which is looking great. No real battles at the moment. As I said earlier, there's a decent sized gap between pretty much everybody. This is probably the closest battle we have here, which is not a battle, sorry. That is Samuel passing Klopper. So yeah, no, not really a battle on the track at the moment. What do you take of that?
I think it's just the nature of this track, really. I mean, not the track, the conditions mixed with this track. The track creates absolutely fantastic racing. I love this track with all my heart. But in these conditions, it's really easy to space out the skill gap at a track in these conditions. Like this is in the background, Brady Addison goes off the circuit. That could actually bring him quite close to Samuel, so that could be a battle that's about to happen. But yeah, cars space out quite a lot, and until mistakes are made, it doesn't close in. But speaking of mistakes being made and gaps closing in as they cross the line, there we go. Shady Samuel is less than a second behind Adderton and race on here for the podium.
And that's how quickly those gaps can close. Adderton's going to be wanting to push now. Still gaining, like he is gaining time to Rochford, so he's catching up to Rochford. Sorry, was I think 6 seconds behind earlier. Now only 4, so gaining that time. But having Shady Samuel on your back means that you will be playing defensively, meaning Rochford could build more of a gap during this time.
Yeah, obviously Addison has been a little bit quicker than Samuel this race, but Samuel has also been caught up in more traffic and more incidents, and now that they're close together, this could be interesting, as I think that Samuel will be able to stay with Addison. We've seen these two Mustangs at Brands Hatch be very similar pace. We've seen Samuel be pacey all season long, and now it comes to a podium fight with 15 minutes to go in an hour-long race, and this is where the gloves come off. The pace is tested, and your confidence in your car in these conditions is also tested, and these are two of the sharpest drivers on the grid here in Split Red in your pro class for P2 and P3 in class, about to fight away at it with 15 minutes to go. It's anybody's guess as to who's going to come out in front, but Adderton has a little bit of a leg up pace-wise, so I think we will see Adderton try and pull away, but he is making a mistake by mistake by mistake there, as we saw him run wide there at that right-hander as they head into Crocodiles now. He hit the inside curb, I believe, which is why he ran wide on the last lap, and Shady Samuel's still right there a lap later, so Brady Adderton is going to have to clean up the mistakes if he wants to try and pull away, which I think he can potentially do, but not if he keeps running wide.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be one of the biggest battles at the moment on the track, and it'll probably be one of the ones that we watched throughout the last few laps, as we are less than 15 minutes left of the race. It has almost been our full hour. Another reminder that Patreons get a discount. If you sign up for Patreon with OOR, you get a discount over at simrigs.com. I believe it is a 5% discount. If you want, you can head over there and get your sim racing needs and stuff from there. So really, really good. Yeah.
And just to touch on Simrigs as well, I mean, I am going to be buying stuff from there soon, so I'll let you know how my Sim Magic stuff arrives, but yeah, I'm going to be putting our nice little series, well, sponsor, I guess, to the Tester series affiliates, and yeah, Simrigs, I think I'll be probably following the Patreon as well to grab that discount, so we'll have to see how it all plays out. But yeah, Sim Magic equipment on Simrigs, as well as a range of other equipment, and yeah, they are affiliated with the Sprint Series and Octane Online Racing, so make sure to go check them out. There we go, I got the words out eventually.
Woo! And of course, we are in round 4 of season 19. This is one of our smaller seasons as we are coming up to Christmas. And don't forget to tune in next weekend for our Nordschleife 12-hour. That's going to be an interesting race full of great content and hopefully no server restarts due to a car flipping.
Yeah, and the Nordschleife always creates some form of chaos, and 12 hours around there is just a recipe for absolute disaster, and especially if there is the potential of mixed weather, which I'm not sure if there is, but I would imagine there is, being the Nordschleife for 12 hours long. Quite a lot of teams, I'm not sure the exact amount, but yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see how that plays out next week. I'm not taking part, but I'll probably throw my hat in the ring for a good whirl at the commentary, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But it's also going to be interesting to see how the final 12 and just over a half minutes of this race end, as well, as Adderton is pulling a little bit away from Shady Samuel through the second 2 sectors, but in the in the first 2 sectors, but in the final 2 sectors, Samuel does close in just that little bit, so it's showing tricky for Adderton to try and pull away, but it always was going to be. But if he can break that 1 second, I think that Adderton will be safe unless he makes another mistake, and I think that these two will battle at it if he does. But already there is the potential, if Samuel is able to continue to push on the pace department, he will be able to close up to the back of Adderton even more and begin that battle. But right now that gap is nearly a second, so Adderton nearly clear enough to really just take a breath and be a little bit safer with his driving, with 11 minutes 52 seconds to go, and it's going to be quite an interesting end for the P3 spot, and they are also chasing down that Honda NSX, but I don't think they're going to catch him. But they have just pretty much stayed stagnant, actually, gap-wise, since Adderton's mistake. Because actually the Honda is getting added to iRacing soon, and that brings us on to the iRacing series as well, which OOR runs. They run an iRacing series in the Formula Ford cars, and I believe they also run an MX5 series. I believe that is on a Wednesday and a Saturday, but don't quote me on that. I don't know, Wednesday and a Sunday, or Tuesday and a Sunday, something like that. Yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. It's all free series as well, free content. You just have to get the service, and then you'll be able to take part in that, so feel free to check that out as well. But that's another little segue done.
And moving on to another segue, these nice and awesome camera shots are from our one and only Benjamin Hignett tonight. So thank you for doing all the broadcasting tonight. It's been great camera work at this rainy track of Kyalami with... I'm still waiting to see Bison out here.
Yeah, I think you're just you're going to continue to be looking for it then.
We did just see in that replay there, just a little bit loose from Adderton, obviously giving a little bit of time to Shady, but Shady's still a second behind Adderton. And, oh no, never mind, only 6/10, so that slide did do a little bit of damage there to that gap between them. But yeah, this is a Mustang on Mustang battle. It's a power of the horses, power of the stallions, or I guess the Mustangs. Pushing out hard and just trying to keep that pace on. Two very different liveries. I'm not sure what to think of Adderton's livery, but it does look nice, even though it's on the wrong car. It does look nice.
Yeah, and they'll continue to push on, but it's definitely a crime against humanity, that livery. I think that any die-hard Holden fan might end up knocking on their door. And yeah, it could cause some chaos, but anyway, luckily I don't think we have any super hardcore Holden fans that might try and just honestly just laugh at that Holden livery on the on that Mustang. As clearly, Looped, we are running out of things to talk about here as we head into the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, look, there's not much happening at the moment. Am I confusing buffalo with bison? No, very clearly, Igor has stated that there are bison in Africa. So I am going off of Igor's words. So, and he's never wrong. In this case, he might be. But we are continuing on through the track, and Sonic is still holding on a very strong lead there. We are 28 laps in with 8.5 minutes to go. Rochford 13 seconds behind Adderton, not too far behind there, 4 seconds. That's quite close still, and 0.7 behind Adderton's Shady Samuel. And this is this epic battle that you are seeing currently on your screen, as you can see Rochford up there in the Honda. Yeah, they're pushing really well. And we are seeing that Klopper at the back there is still currently in 19th. Not too sure how far behind. Gosling and Igor seem to be somewhat in a similar area, with Igor only 3 seconds behind Brickley. Brickley cleared his drive-through, so I'm guessing Igor might have gone into pits as well to repair that damage. Salvaggio, who also had a drive-through earlier, is still out ahead of Brickley by 8 seconds, so that is an interesting battle at the back there between all of the AM class drivers, a few Pro-Ams. The Pro-Ams split well across all of the Silvers, kind of chilling in the mid-pack at the moment from a few incidents during the race and stuff like that, so it's looking great.
Yeah, and something you just can't ignore is Senakis' performance tonight. Obviously, there's still 7 minutes to go, but he's 14 seconds out in the lead. And we've seen Senakis pull this off time and time again here this season. We're only 4 rounds in, but he's done it nearly every round so far, except for Zandvoort, where he got a penalty and then had a brilliant recovery drive. But yeah, he is absolutely dominant in that Bentley, and yeah, his pace is just absolutely phenomenal. It always is, but normally he seems to have some competition, but this season he's just been walking away from the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting in the work. He's generally up in the top. I remember last season, the season before, he was racing hard against Lucas. I think both seasons. And then Lucas obviously left to go sandbag a different split. So now he is Sonicus just pushing out ahead. Shady Samuel obviously not having the greatest start to the race, so not really being able to push up and be up there with Sonicus. They usually do keep it quite close up at the front there. Addison also quite a quick driver, and Rochford, who is generally a decently quick driver, is all the way up in second. I've not seen him in that kind of position before, but it has been a great drive there. And there's a little bit of elbows out between the two, but Adderton taking back the place as Samuel does go a bit wide into the corner there of, was that the second turn?
Yeah, it was the second corner, as so Samuel is going to continue to put the pressure onto Adderton. They went wheel to wheel as through towards sunset we go. This battle is well and truly on. Shady Samuel looking to add the pace over Adderton here in this late race, but as mistakes creep in from both of them, that gap can still extend or close either way you look at it. They're both very similarly paced, actually. I think at this very moment, Samuel will not be done with this one just yet, though. They are separated by 4.5 tenths of a second. They went to blows. They made a little bit of contact, but nothing report worthy. But they've got to continue pushing to try and get this podium overall and the P2 in class, with the Pro-Am sitting in P2 right now, which I'm sure will be amended at some point. But Adderton is furiously trying to pull away from Samuel. The gap is 8 tenths, so that has succeeded, and Samuel makes a mistake as well. He's very wide, hits the grass, and the mistakes are creeping in here with under 5 minutes to go in this hour-long race. And that has allowed Adderton a little bit of room to breathe, and I think as they cross the line, the gap will be over 1 second. So what was fireworks sparking and going up into the sky just a lap ago, and now the gap has extended quite significantly, but Relahi has found himself only 7 tenths behind Chalmers for P5. Obviously, he is still carrying that 10-second time penalty, but this could be an on-track story to watch as the BMW continues to close down the Bentley as they round the final corner. They accelerate off the final corner. It's going to be V6 versus, I believe, V8 under that Bentley Continental, and down towards turn 1. The right-hand kink is turn 1, if you aren't aware. And now down towards the turn 2 braking zone, but Relahi not able to make a move at this point, but we've seen him be very strong through this first sector. He's had the bravery to go for moves here time and time again. He's had the nerves to defend time and time again, and he goes for it. Down the inside, late on the brakes. What a late lunge there from Relahi, getting that move done. Sensational stuff there from the BMW to get that one pulled up into the corner. I don't think Chalmers wanted to fight that one, but even still, just the
Oh my
confidence
gosh.
to pull
Oh
out and
my
go for
gosh.
it.
I think what we've just seen there is the cameraman has found some wild bison out at Kyalami watching the race. And this is how you know we are at the right track, as the bison are all here in force watching. Look at them having a great time out at Split Red at the wet rain track. This is amazing. Hopefully they're huge bison, so hopefully they don't just step over the fence and absolutely ruin the race for some of these drivers. Oh, got to be a bit careful. But this is amazing to see. The bison, nature's true greatest animals, out in force to at their home track, you know, their absolute home area, loving the race.
They were there last lap as well, but you didn't even notice. So they've been there showing their face for a little bit now, as that is Relahi who goes off the track, and
Obviously
now
distracted by
Chalmers
the
is
bison.
invited. Now Relahi is going to be right back under pressure from Pete Chalmers as they head down towards the first braking zone of the lap. They cross the line now, and there's going to be Bentley trying the long way around on the BMW. Relahi defending the inside despite him having a penalty, and that's Chalmers trying it the long way around, isn't able to make that one stick. He tries to switch back through turn 1, can't quite pull that one off, and Relahi holding the place. But will Chalmers try and do what Relahi did to him on the previous lap? No, he does not. There's 2 minutes to go in this race. The timer's ticking towards 0. This is the penultimate lap of this race here in Split Red, and what a race it's been. It was action-packed for quite a while, and then it slowed down, but it's right back into the thick of it as we entered the dying 10 minutes of this race. And Shady Samuel is back within 6 tenths of Brady Adderton here with 1.5 minutes to go. They're approaching the final lap of this Grand Prix. There is 4 sectors to go. This final sector, and then the next 3 sectors on the final lap of this race. It's still game on between these 2 Ford Mustangs, but I think Adderton has the edge. He's leading by quite a significant margin for that P3 fight over Shady Samuel, but he still has a chance here as Senakis is entering the final lap of this race here in Kyalami. Oh no! Adderton makes a critical error. He hits the yellow sausage curb. He bounces up into the air. Samuel trying it the long way round, gets the switchback off the final corner, and this is going to be a one-lap battle all the way to the end for the podium place. It's going to be Adderton versus Samuel as they drag race down towards through the turn 1 kink and down towards the first braking zone. It's going to be Samuel on the inside, Adderton on the outside, as Adderton is going to brake late. He's going to try switch back underneath. There's contact. That's Samuel who's been punted wide, but Adderton slows up. Lets Samuel continue to pull away. There's 30 seconds to go. Adderton makes a mistake. That was a huge moment, but Adderton knew he made a mistake there by hitting Shady Samuel. Let him go. This battle will continue to rage on, but I think that Samuel definitely has his head high after that one and gets the place on the final lap as all hope looked lost. Adderton made a mistake when it really counted going on to the final lap. Samuel up into P3, but there is still a sector and a half to go here in Kyalami. There can still be plenty of mistakes made in wet conditions. The timer ticks to 0, and Sinakis has a couple of corners to go of the lap, but Samuel is in P3 as they head up towards the final sector now, and this is the dying couple of seconds of this race in Split Red. What a race it has been, as that is Sinakis who's heading towards the final corner now, so I'm sure we'll cut back to him in a couple of moments time as he's about to cross the line, but Samuel looking like he's home free. Here is Sinakis. He's had an absolutely brilliant performance. He crosses the line to take the win in Split Red. What a display, what a performance from the car 44, and that is Rochford who rounds the final corner. He's going to pick up the P2, and as long as Samuel doesn't spin around the final corner, he will be home free. Rochford takes the flag for P2. Here is Shady Samuel. He is going to get P3 at the death of it. Adderton also gets P4 after a mistake. He'll be kicking himself. There's a bison on the right-hand side of the track, Jaden, if you didn't notice it, as Chalmers is rounding the final corner. He is going to get P5 after Relahi's penalty is applied. So Relahi takes the track position P5, but he'll get not even P6 or P7. He's going to drop down quite a ways. We'll read you through your final order in a moment's time, but what a race that was for Split Red.
Where is the yellow flag? There is a bison on the track. This is very dangerous. The bison could walk out at any moment, though it could also be an official working with the stewarding team or something to mark the official ending positions of the race. So that might be an official bison. But yeah, as that is the end of the race, so we'll get into the serious part of it. It has been a great drive for a lot. Look at that bison just standing there. Hopefully it does not... Oh, no. Okay, it's having some fun. But yeah, that's been a good race. I guess that yellow smoke can be the change for the yellow flag. There was a thing. Oh, there goes the bison off to the official booth to call somebody out, probably give somebody else a penalty for something. I don't know what this time, but I believe that was a penalty for Maddox. Maddox now was a 25-second penalty. So that is, yeah, that's the end of the race. Do you want to end us off here then?
Yep, so the final order will be read through in a moment's time. What a race it was for Split Red. It started off hot and then it died down a little bit and then it got really exciting again. So your overall results are Sinakis, Rochford, Samuel, Adderton, Chalmers, Warren, Relahi, Underwood, Samuel, Maddox rounds out your top 10 post penalties. Gobe gets P11, then Macaulay. Yep, that's your top 10. And then you have Macaulay, Reel, O'Brien, Brickley, Zavaka, Salvaggio, Gosling, Plopper, and Hislop. So now you go to your silver class results, which is Warren taking the win in the car 222 in silver class. Then you have Maddox, Reel, and then Ben Dyke, who actually apparently did show up, but we never saw him. And then you have Rochford, Chalmers, Underwood rounding out your Pro-Am top 3. Then your AM class is Macaulay, O'Brien, and Brickley, your top 3 in the AM class. What a race that was for Split Red, and that is going to wrap it up tonight here for the Simrigs Sprint Series. Thursday night is now complete, and what a Split Red it was as we look to Mike Reel, who is just lapping the track in the wet night conditions to round out the night. Thank you for watching, everybody. It is a pleasure. Oh, actually, yeah, driver of the day. I mean, it's got to be Sinakis, doesn't it? Like, it's just such a dominant display.
I say either the Bison or Rochford. Rochford had an incredible race today, holding second throughout with that Honda. Incredible race from Rochford. And the Bison, obviously, the best spectators of the track.
Yeah, so that is going to round out your Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series, round number 4 at Kyalami. Track changes, car changes could be upon us as the car transfer window is now open. And that is going to round out your nights. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for joining me, Rondinella, and that has been Split Red and the Thursday Night at Simrigs Sprints signing off.
Bye.